Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 68 of Power Bombshells. We are not your typical broads talking about your typical wrestling. And this week we have another honorary broad. And I guess I'm Sam, and that is Mel. And our honorary broad today is John. And I will let Mel actually go ahead and take over the introductions a little bit and explain why John is here and how they know each other and all that good stuff.
Wow. Maybe I should let John tell us because
That works too.
it's actually funny because we've known each other for nigh on a decade now, and we have done a lot of things together and hung out, gone to wrestling shows, and he's honestly the reason that I'm sitting here nerding out about wrestling with everyone. So I mean, that's either great or it's a great compliment, or he's gonna be like, I'm out now.
Well, I think I bullied you into watching New Japan. I remember because I was talking to you a lot about wrestling because I just will talk to anybody who has working ears about wrestling, whether they want to or not. And I remember you got back into watching WWE because the network was free. I think you had a free network, whatever. And I was just like, yeah, gotta watch Okada, right? That's the guy. And I guess I just knew what you liked. And I remember your husband Bob, and you started watching New Japan on Axis, and Bob saying like, I just didn't think he said he was watching Zack Sabre Jr.'s match against Okada when Zack first won the New Japan Cup, and he was sitting there going, "Oh, I don't know, this kid isn't going to win." And then like 20 minutes in, he's just getting anxious about it. He's there going, "Wait a minute, Zack going to beat this guy? What's going on here?" So that was, I think, the start of your wrestling renaissance. And that snowballed when you came to Ireland, and we went to indie wrestling, which I think was your first indie wrestling in what years?
In a long time, probably since the late 90s. So, and that was in 2016. So,
and we'd known each other for a long time before that. And I got gone back and forth to America a couple of times. And hung out with you guys, and then you guys came here, and which is weird because then the next time I went back, it was to go. The last two times I've been in America, has been to go to wrestling with Mel.
That's right.
That's so awesome.
Chicago and New York, man.
Yeah. So,
I love
That's
that.
what we do now. We go to giant shows together.
As you should. That's
Which
really
is-
awesome.
Perfect. It ties into today, and I mean, because we went to Forbidden Door last year.
There's still tickets to Wembley, Mel. All right, I'm just saying. All right, you could.
John, I told you about those Sky Miles, man. Those rack up. That's enough points to get us. I mean, I never know.
I'll talk to you later about something actually, and maybe I might be able to score you tickets on the cheap actually,
Yes.
if
Look
you're
at this
interested
guy.
in flying to England. Not because I have a name with AEW or anything. I just know people who might be looking to shift them. But you never know. What was I supposed to be talking
about? How you guys met.
Well, moreover, I think what we're talking about is like especially this thing because he did turn me on to New Japan Wrestling, and we have been New Japan Pro Wrestling. I mean, all of the shows, in fairness, have been New Japan shows that you've come for.
Yeah, I mean,
we went to WrestleMania, but that was because it was the weekend of. So.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't have been at that WrestleMania had it not been for New Japan.
Yeah.
But honestly, just like I've nothing against WWE. Well, I've some things against WWE that everybody should have against them.
Same.
Like they're the guy who runs the company.
Yeah, exactly.
But what was I gonna say? Yeah, no, I wanted to go to that New Japan show, obviously, and I have friends who go to WrestleMania a lot, and then it was like they pretty much once they discovered the New Japan thing was going to happen, they were like, so I guess this will be the year you come. I was like, yeah, you're right, I will, I'll be here. Because that's what will make me travel, because New Japan is so special to me. Like I was watching New Japan this morning, and it's still like a thrill to be able to see it, because there was a long time when it was not available, or it was available on VHS tape from a guy who you find in the back of a magazine, and he sends you a tape that gets opened by the post office because it looks like it's got something other than pro wrestling on it. And, so that happened a lot in my my youth. But I think I knew Matt's your cousin, right?
Yeah, he is.
Okay, the Mel and Matt family lore is lost on me, to be honest.
Oh, we and our kayfabe lore is even funnier. So we have like a whole like kayfabe backstory, and then like the real. So it's great. It's perfect. But yeah,
I got to know Matt somehow, and it got to the point where Matt would call me. That's how I got to know Matt. I don't remember who introduced me to him, but he would call me every Saturday when I was like hungover, and I would talk to him and Ralph every week. And then that just became a thing where all these people who are hungover on the internet convened. And that's where I met you and Keith and a bunch of other people. And as far as wrestling goes, I don't know. I had to ask, like, people will ask me, like, well, when did you start watching wrestling? A lot of people have that answer. They can go, oh, when Steve Austin did this or whatever. I don't know. I remember when I was about maybe 5, a friend of mine ran up to me and he said, let's wrestle. I didn't know what that meant. And basically, he gave me like a hip toss that you call the body slam and dropped a leg on me, pinned me, and sang Hulk Hogan's music. And that was our wrestling thing. And then he got me to do he got me to be Hogan then. And then I was like, well, I guess this is wrestling. And I had to ask, I think I asked my mom, I was like, can I just watch this? And to be fair to her, she didn't stop me. The only thing she stopped me from, I told Mel this before, the only thing she stopped me from watching was UWFI when that came on TV because it was so real. She was like, someone's going to die.
That's completely understandable.
We watched it. He found one of the like last UWFI shows to be like on CCTV or whatever, with like just right before pay-per-view became a thing, and we like did that, and that was hilarious and fun. And I actually I'm totally into that. I mean, I think I like some of the stuff that like Moxley does and all of that crazy crap, because just all of the other stuff that what it is that John is the one that showed me that there's other kinds of wrestling than WWE. That's I mean, and I know that a ton of people on this network get that because they
absolutely
understand that.
Yeah, and then it was a long time before I watched anything. Like, I mean, I started out with WCW, but then I moved over to WWE, and then it was like a really long time before. Like, I wouldn't watch ECW, and I don't even know that I had access to it. And then I only had access to Impact like on and off because like cable providers would like pick it up and then they drop it and all that stuff. And so like Impact was infrequent for me for a long time. And so yeah, it was a while before I got into like indie wrestling. And then once I got hooked on indie wrestling like that, just changed everything.
What was it about ECW that didn't appeal to you?
I was not into like, I can't believe like how I did not like hardcore stuff. Like it was too much. It was too gory for me. I didn't like it, and so I just would not really give it the time of day. Like I had a friend, like we would talk in high school, and he and I would talk about wrestling all the time, and he watched WWE and ECW, and he tried to convince me all the time. He was like, you need to watch it. You need to watch it. And I was just like, absolutely not. And so I missed out on ECW because I just was back then. I was not into hardcore matches. I couldn't, or anything that I thought was hardcore. Yeah, I was not a fan of that.
You would not like the horror movie. You were not like the horror movie that Bob showed me this week. He made me watch Terrifier. It was very, very gruesome.
Yeah, I'm not into. I don't do horror stuff just because horror. I'm always convinced that horror movies, they will inspire somebody and I'm gonna be the victim. And so I was gonna I will not go to haunted houses because I was like, that's gonna be when the one deranged person is there and I will be the one who gets attacked. And so I refuse to do haunted houses. Will not do them. Maybe it's because I watch too much true crime shows and I'm like, and that probably has a lot to do with it. And I was like, nope, I'm not gonna even put myself in that situation.
Mel knows this. I was going to go to a haunted house in Philadelphia one time with our friend Keith, and we couldn't go because a real horror show happened when I ate some bad chicken in a bar.
Oh no!
And basically filled the toilet bowl full of horror. So
That
I
was
don't
their
want to
horror
hot
show.
place just to avoid
That was
that, you know?
that's what happens when you're even near the ECW arena.
Well, that was it.
They were
went
too
there that
close,
day.
and they got a little too close. Even the chicken.
He
was
told
too-
me when we were walking on the street, he says, when you're walking around here and you see shit in the ground, it's 50-50 whether it's human or dog. And I was
Oh
like,
gosh.
that's
I guess
a
I'm
wonder-
not surprised by that though.
That's how you know you're in South Philly, down there by the by the arena. It is dodgy, but it's not. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like, as an Irish person, like we tend to not see danger that other people do. Like it's just we live in a very safe place,
Sure.
so we don't see the dangers that other people do. We don't think it's like Mel and me were in a car one time going across Ireland, and she's like, "Where are all the cop cars?" And I was like, "Well, I assume all the police are at home in bed." And I realized that moment. I was like, "Oh, all right, yeah, I'm a little fairy who lives in an innocent little garden of a world."
Meanwhile, the other side of that coin is that Bob and I spent most of the weekend, especially at WrestleMania, because WrestleMania had it to the nines. We had the cops with the full, SWAT gear and the whole thing. So we kept pointing out all the like uber security people to John. We're like, John, check it out. Check it out. He's like, what? And we got jet flyovers. It was perfect. He got and it was New York City. I mean, there was a flag on every corner, and literally, it's become a joke. It's
well, how else would you know you're in America if there was an American flag?
It's so true. I never know unless I look.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm walking around. I tend to just I'm like, am I in Saudi Arabia now? Am I in Japan? I don't know. Oh, American flag. Perfect, great. I'm in the US. Thanks.
One of my favorite things to do is to send him gifts with American flag. He's got.
To be fair, it's not a bad flag. I mean, as far as design goes, it's a bit disco. I won't lie. All right. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. I prefer it to. There's a couple of. I prefer it to the Canadian flag. I mean, what, a leaf? You got nothing else going on there, lads?
Oh, jeez. Oh, gosh. I hope Paul Fontaine doesn't hear this.
He'll report me to Bret Hart.
You'll have heat.
You've done it now.
Oh, this is fantastic.
Oh, man.
All right. So, let's see.
Let me get over here to the comments.
I was going to say we should say hi to our friends that are here.
We do have some. Thank you for waiting for us to acknowledge you. We will Roman Reigns you.
Roman Reigns you.
So Brad, before we got on the air, Brad said that he thought you were going to be wearing a black veil for the funeral of all those people who sent New Japan to a premature death during the pandemic. NJPW was back and here to stay.
Age of the Men, I was in there. There's a couple matches where I'm like, they're back. Oh my God.
I was telling Nikki last night, I was like, we should have treated this like Wrestle Kingdom. We should have went to sleep for a while and woke up and watched this live because I was going to bed when it started. And I saw that they opened with Ospreay and Lance Archer. And I was like, holy crap. I was like, yeah, we should have treated this.
Oh, you were awake? See, there was no way I was going to be awake at 3 a.m. So there was
I was going to bed. I was planning to go to bed sooner than that. And then that didn't happen, especially because we were trying to situate animals and things like that. And then obviously, and then also we were we were on our phones, which kept us, we were looking at videos and stuff. And I was like, I gotta go to bed. I was like, I didn't realize it started at 3 or I probably would have watched it. Daza said that, it said, hey, I'm here because it was a little late anyway. So we will now acknowledge you. Brad acknowledged you. And also we'll go back to earlier part of the conversation. Brad said his favorite story is that he took Kathy to meet Scarlett Boudreaux. And when she asked Kathy who her favorite wrestler was, Kathy said Okada and it popped the whole room. Dad win. Good for her. Good for Kathy.
I mean, it's the right answer.
It is. What a smart kid.
I mean,
She has good taste.
she does have good taste, actually. I like that it's developing on. One of the things I like with Brad taking Kathy to stuff is that it's developing on its own. Like, it's something that she is interested in, and
Yep.
she has the stuff that she picks that she likes. So as
Yeah.
a kid, I think it's like really important, because a lot of times you're like, watch what I want to watch. No one in
Right.
this network actually really does that, and a lot of their kids have because how are you gonna not look?
Yeah.
Have become actually like minor celebrities in the Fight Game Media Discord, because we have a channel for it where it's like, this person, when my kid is so pissed off at this person, or it's a really fun thing.
That's
And if
really
you
cool.
want an invitation to that Discord, you have to give Gigi at fightgamemedia.com an email and let him know that you're not some weirdo, that you actually heard it on Powerbombshells, and
Tell him
you're not
Powerbombshells
trying to-
sent you, and
you're not trying to start things. You're trying to be a weirdo. You're just trying to have a lot of fun and talk about wrestling. John's laughing because he's in Discord and he knows. He knows the drill.
I'm not in Discord, but I have heard.
I know. It's just funny. It's the minor dramas of wrestling that kind of make it sometimes fun, and sometimes like, I'm gonna just go ahead and pause that channel right there.
It's just as complicated as becoming Fumi's friend on Facebook. You have to message him, and then he'll add you, and then, it's a whole thing.
Yeah, but I mean, then you're Fumi's friend on Facebook.
So. Oh yeah, Fumi's like he's in the 5% of people that I actually, when you meet somebody and they're great people in the real world, and you go on and connect with them online, and you're like, oh god, you're just a big mountain of cringe. I have to so we can be friends and appreciate each other in the real world where it matters the most.
Right.
Fumi's in the 5% of people where you're like, leave Fumi's posts on, they're cool.
He's just like so nice all the time. They're all like, I mean, I follow his Facebook. I'm not Facebook friends with him, obviously, but
you just gotta reach out to him, send him a DM.
I know. I know he would, because I've talked to him on Twitter before, and I'm Jim's friend. Like I hang out with Jim, so it's no big. Actually, it was hilarious. I was listening to JD and Mike this week, and they did their show, and they were talking about how well it's doing. That they've switched up, kind of doing more general chat, and they were like, yeah, we're still trailing Justin Nipper and Fumi Saito, though. We're always losing to Fumi. We'll never beat Fumi. Fumi is the winner of Fight Game Media.
I was like, Fumi will never lose.
Have you guys had Justin on before?
Not yet.
Okay,
one of these days.
Because I think the world needs, like, I think it's funny, like, when I listen to Justin and Fumi, like, Justin, I think he has, like, his Japanese voice on. Almost, because the first time I talked to him, I was like, whoa, he is a lot more talkative than I thought he would be, he's a lot more animated than I thought, because when he's talking with Fumi, I feel like, I guess he just had, it's like me, we all have this thing where we talk at other people's cadence, almost like when you talk to somebody from another country, you tend to pick up their things, and I was shocked the first time I chatted with Justin. I was like, oh, all right, he's just a guy.
This is actually the place where everybody gets to like let their hair down, because when you get to be an honorary broad, you get to come in and like just talk about wrestling, like whatever kind, because we like all the kinds of wrestling. So everyone else sort of has like topics and stuff that they like. Not that we don't have topics, but you know what I'm saying. We obviously have topics.
Yes, and one of those topics is apparently my microphone, because Brad said Mox had a total Sam moment after the 6-man match. He couldn't get 2 mics to work for his post-match promo. Listen, these mics, I'm telling you, they will have it out for you and they'll make you look dumb. This one, I mean, I don't know that his mic's I don't think his mic was dumb enough to try to fight him like mine is.
I think they might have been scared.
I would not try to fight John Moxley, especially after he just had a match, a 6-man, and he was wrestling with his son. Yeah, I wouldn't try.
What a day for him, though. He didn't even need to bring a razor blade to work, and he got
I know, right? He got colored today. I was laughing my ass off when I saw that, and it was like
I
blood
would.
from Moxley. I was like, you don't say.
Now
I
it's a
was like,
Moxley match.
But I've seen Ishii wrestle and hit those headbutts live, and I worry for him because I'm like, I really don't want to hear about Ishii like having real bad health problems when he's older. But like that guy he will just straight up cause brain trauma to people in these
Yeah.
matches. I remember seeing him wrestle Juice years ago, and like they did like one of those headbutts, and I just remember the sound of it was just horrifying. It was like 7 foot away from me, and like just
Jeez.
this when you see two heads crack and sweat flies off them, you're just like, oh no, hit your thumbs, boys. Hit your thumbs.
Well, and I think now, especially, there's that added because of Shibata. Like, it makes you like cringe a little bit because you're like, we all heard that, the sound that it made when, Shibata, when that whole thing happened. Because, like, I wasn't watching New Japan when that happened. I think it was like, I think I started a few minutes later, but I went back and I watched that match and I just remembered, like, I was like, holy crap. Like, and I was like, I knew what was coming. I was like, these people were watching it live and had no idea, like, what was happening. And I was like, now I have the full, like, we know, like, at the time he was retired. Well, he was retired and things like that. And it was just going back and watching that. And so I still sometimes headbutts make me, just make me stop. If I stop and think about it, it makes me cringe a little bit.
It's very, yeah, that I remember hearing. I think I watched that match in work actually, and yeah, it was. I think my colleagues were freaking out because I was in the corner just going, "Oh no!"
Oh, no.
Brad said Ishii's headbutts are awful. Julia's headbutts are even worse. I despise shoot headbutts so much. That's like me and unprotected chair shots. I cannot, like, that's like, I really, really enjoy GCW, but that's one thing I absolutely cannot stand about GCW is when they do the unprotected chair shots. I'm like, we know what happens with those. Like, CTE is real, you guys. Like, it wasn't that far removed, like all the Benoit stuff and all. Like, I'm like, there's no like, I get it, and I know that they do a lot of hardcore stuff, but I was like, there's ways to do that and not have unprotected chair shots like that. There's no reason to do that in 2023, and it drives me insane when I see it. Cannot stand
Well,
that.
like with headbutts as well, it's like they didn't even allow headbutts in Pride. Like
Yikes.
if Pride, the MMA company that allowed soccer kicks to the face,
Right.
don't allow headbutts, maybe we don't do headbutts.
Right. Yeah, exactly. There's guidelines there for a reason.
Hey, listen, I am of an era where I coached soccer for 13 years and we did not teach heading to the kids under a certain age at all. And then when we did, it was like, it's not like we were not doing the drills with kids that they were doing to me when I was a kid. I mean, there's almost no doubt that I probably have a little CT going on, but it's like,
Right.
It's one of those things where we have altered the playing field literally and figuratively to
Right.
accidental pun. Those are the best ones.
Daza said McGinnis and Daniel said an ROH back in the day were cringy headbutts.
Yeah.
Oh, my hype train is in the background. It's excited.
It is, as it should be.
For one of the real reasons that our long-standing friendship has come to. This is a super fun moment for me because this is like one of the things that. So, John, you said that you have wanted to do this art project for a while, right?
Yeah. You've been privy to every time I've tried, where like a Japanese wrestling tournament will come up, and I'll be like, you know what? I'd love to do a project where I draw everybody in the tournament, just for the fun of it, and just for the challenge of it. And I've stumbled at the gate several times in the past, and the bounty of time that we were all given for the last few years, maybe not this year, but the year before, through the pandemic, gave me plenty of time to get better at things and up my art skills a bit. And I was like, okay, maybe this is the time. This is the moment. So this year, I put myself the challenge. I was like, I want to just draw everybody who's in this tournament. and just see if I can get it done. We haven't obviously shown any of the work now. I think if I was to give myself a record, I get 20. I would say I probably, like a sumo record, I'd say I probably finished with my Kachikoshi. I got 8 of 15 or whatever I needed to get. I don't think I succeeded entirely, but I'm happy with a good few of them. And like the challenge itself, I was like just figuring out how to do this, and drawing things that aren't necessarily completely inspiring, which might sound like I'm putting shade on these guys, but like we'll see it in a few minutes. Like a guy like Kevin Knight, okay, great wrestler, great look, the whole lot, but I don't have any personal history with him as a fan. So that was tough for me to be like, what do I do for him? Whereas when I'm drawing somebody like Taguchi, I'm like, I know immediately what I'm going to do for Taguchi.
Of course.
And so that was interesting. It's like, okay, how do you, that the challenge then is to pull something out of this. And like I read a book recently, I can't remember the author or the book, but in the book the guy said, like if you can trace something, that's fine. But then if you trace something and then draw it from perspective, like you step back and draw, like the differences between how the object looks and what you've done when you're drawing it tells the viewer what you see in it, you know. So that I found that to ring true a lot in this project, because I was like, okay, I don't really know a lot about, like, say, Francesco Akira. I've seen him wrestle, but I don't have a lot to draw on. But then again, when I've got somebody like Hiromu, my heart speaks and knows what Hiromu is.
Right, exactly.
And what was cool, because John asked me to kind of come in and share this, because he, if in case you guys didn't know, and I'm going to do some shameless plug-in real quick here, John is the artist behind Canvas Theory there. So this, if you're interested in anything, or you know anybody that might be interested in anything, you also get to see that how the process of that, the fine artist of the Canvas Theories works his magic, or not, or whatever. And I mean, and I know you're gonna input here, but let me finish my thought before I'm totally. Is that it's a lot of fun to watch John's art evolve, and this is super cool. So go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that's a different thing altogether. Like what I said there. Like
I know.
No, it's like just to talk about what I was talking about already. Like what you bring to a project, or what you bring out of a project. Like working on that hat in particular, and the other one for Carl Fredericks, that for me kind of underlined there, because I got to know Carl before I designed that, and the thing for me was, I want to learn something about him that I can bring and put on display for the world, that's not necessarily part of his visual package that already exists. You know, it's not part of his tights, it's not part of his ring gear, it's not part of his VTR or anything like that. It's something that I have to find. You know, like I, as a designer, wouldn't be interested in, you know, just, you know, like carrying on somebody else's work, or just doing the most obvious thing. I like to try and just find that little personal thing that, you know, I don't know, makes the product more than just a product. With that, like, that project was, it was daunting, because like the fact that, you know, there was emails about me sent to New Japan head office, that was sweaty, you know. I'm like, please don't expose me here. That was one of my favorite things. I'll share this. I never shared this publicly before, but Carl told me he left a bunch of hats in the Noge dojo when he was in New Japan just before the pandemic, and he left the stuff there. So there's like a big wardrobe full of baseball hats in the Noge dojo. And I said to him, I said, all I want out of life is for Ricky Choshu to walk in there and just go, I guess I'll wear this and put it on and leave when it's raining or something. I know he uses it. Like, that's his gym. That's his neighborhood gym. So that's my only ambition with that. But yeah, with this, like, it's different. The designing hats and designing apparel is a bit different than doing what I did on this, just because it's a consumer product and it's limited and more expensive, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking shit.
But yes, and I really wanted to shout it out because you guys have been kind to us, but also to the fact of like showing that you do a lot of awesome, cool, fun things with what you do, and it's really like I'm excited. I'm excited for. So what we're going to do is we are going to do, John did all of the participants in the Best of Super Juniors 30, and we are going to show you each participant, and he didn't give me an order, so they are in no particular order. We're going block by block, so we're going to start with A block, I think. No?
Yeah.
Yes.
A becomes before B mill.
It does, but I want to make sure the colors are right.
Yeah. That's right.
That's right. So we got the A block right there.
That.
And that is number one. That is our number one image that we're going to start with. Can we make it bigger? Yeah, we can make it really big.
That's one of my favorite ones.
I love
that
it.
I did. And I was like, oh, you have this thing where you get something right with an art project. I get it anyway, where I'm like, oh, cool. I hope I can do that again. Like, you do it once and you're like, hope that wasn't luck. I hope I didn't, So it was kind of daunting to keep up with myself in that regard, because I really like the way that one looks. And,
yeah, that one is really good. I think that really captures Haramu, which is probably why it's so great.
I really dig this one. This is one of the first ones I shared with Sam because it's one of the first ones you shared with me.
Yeah, I love it.
And I basically talked her into this conversation instantly. So
yeah, I'm really excited to see what you were able to do, because I really liked this one with Haramu. It's very cool.
They're not all hits.
That's okay. They don't have to be. I still want to see them all.
I would never be able to and actually, no, that's not true. We've had this conversation. It's not that I would never be able to do it. It's that is an enormous undertaking, and I don't have like the patience for something like that. I could do some other humongous undertaking, but this would not be the one. So here we go.
This is perfect.
This is one of my favorites, actually.
I love it so much.
Especially since he said no butt stuff this time.
It's like when you're drawing Taguchi, are you going to draw his face? No. You're going to draw his world famous arse.
And everybody can look at that picture, and anybody that's in New Japan will look at that and know exactly who that is.
I was putting these in order, and I was like, wait, who is... Oh, never mind.
Well, you can see the Unky weapon.
Yes, that's my favorite part. That was how I knew.
But the head next to him, I was like, there's a Japanese artist called Toshio Seiki that I'm a big fan of. And he does this really like perverted art that's like got vibrant colors in it. And I was like, this is going to be my tribute to Seiki, I guess. And so I was like, and there's a lot of like monsters and disembodied body parts and stuff in his art. So that's why I drew red shoes, red head, looking at Taguchi's arse and being disappointed in him.
He is very disappointed in him.
And yeah, I was very happy with it. I especially like the highlights on his arse cheeks.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that is... The thing that drew me to the piece is actually the entire ass. It really is kind of like the centerpiece. Like, I mean, if you're gonna draw, you said it, you're gonna draw it. But I love that it's like all the funky whoop. It's just all. I loved this one.
It's great.
It made me. Here we go. Next one.
Oh yeah, that's Titan, obviously.
That's very cool.
I struggled with Titan. I brought my
yeah, that's right. You were gonna let me pop us into the side by side so that you can actually
show. These are my
show.
sheets where I struggled so much trying to figure out how to draw. This was an attempt to draw Titan.
Nope, that's me. Sorry. Nope, there it is. I was trying to get it to you, but it didn't work.
No, it's okay. But that's an attempt. I tried to do them. You guys know what pointillism is?
Yes.
Yeah, I was trying to do it in that style.
Oh, okay.
And you
Yeah.
see there, and then I tried to do this with Kirby dots and draw his mask and just draw a straight up face, which is the easiest way to do it. And none of it worked. So the last thing I drew, I was like, I'll just do him like this in his weird demon mask that I don't think he's ever worn in New Japan.
I love it.
Cool though, because Teton that's like one of my favorite things about, besides obviously Teton's amazing wrestling skills. I always look forward to whatever he's gonna wear and what his mask is gonna be, and he always has like he's always fascinating to see what he brings, and he would probably love that.
I love it.
Hopefully. This is another one I really like. This was a sketch, and it's on kind of poor quality paper, but some of the little accents in there, obviously drawn of Leo Rush, are like, I was like, how would I do like a Basquiat style drawing of or Basquiat, sorry, rendering of Leo Rush?
We had that conversation. I had to go look up Basquiat. I felt like,
because I love Jean-Michel Basquiat. He's one of my favorite artists, and when I think of Leo Rush, he has a similar energy to me, to Basquiat, who's this like proud, difficult, brilliant young man who sadly died far too young. But you know, Leo's here with us, and maybe I'm the only one who sees it, but it's what strikes me when I think of him. And this is what I was saying, like that thing of what you bring out of drawing somebody.
Right. That's a very cool way to approach him, because I'm somewhat familiar with Basquiat's work, but I like the way why you drew it that way, and like that to me makes perfect sense, like just especially with what we've seen with Leo. And he even talked about like struggling with his mental health while he was there in Japan, and so like I think that kind of that parallel, like it makes a lot of sense to me, and I really like this.
Well, it's for me as well, like I think it's great that Leo Rush has finally found somewhere he fits.
Yeah.
You know, when I watch him in this tournament, I'm like, he's a star here.
He is. Yeah, I loved him in this tournament.
And yeah, so
he was. I love it, how much cheering and how much the Japan crowd loved him, and I hope that it continues, because he deserves.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of Leo Rush, but yeah, it sounds like once he's gotten here, he's found what he's looking for. Oh, this is very cool.
I love this one. This is one of my favorites.
Unfortunately, we're about to go downhill soon, because these are all of my A drawings that have come along here. But I was like, how do I draw Kushida? And then I was like, okay, I'll do his wrist tape. And that's awesome. I like skateboard art and stuff like that, so that's kind of what I pictured. It's like, how would you put a Kushida thing on like a deck? So I was like, I'll draw his hand and do all that handwriting and stuff, and you can kind of flip it around and look at it whatever way you want, and it'll look okay, because it's just, you know, it's a fist.
Yeah, that's super cool.
I really like this one. This one's totally my jam. Like, this is like my kind of. I like this sort of like street art style to it. It looks like it belongs on the side of it. We've got a whole initiative going on downtown Detroit right now, because they're trying to spiff up the city for all the stuff we've got coming, and they've got a mural. They're looking for local mural artists, and this, I feel like this would be like a fun one to have downtown with all
get Mayor RoboCop, or whoever the mayor of Detroit is.
It was what was the mayor in Beverly Hills Cop? He was actually
Gil Hicks.
Gil Hicks. We'll call Gil Hicks.
I'll come in and I'll do a big chic mural, right? And it'll have like it'll spit fire, and it'll have razor blades that you can cut yourself on.
Which no chic mural would be complete without, honestly. And it would fit right into Detroit. That's so Detroit. It's perfect. All right, here we go. What's the next one?
This one didn't quite work out. I was drawing TJP. I wanted it on like a black on gold. I think the likeness is okay, and it looks better in person. But
yeah, I like this. I know that you were. He was giving me the countdown some of the days where he was like, "I've got just 4 guys." And I'm like, "Oh, You can have Kevin Kelly's old merch.
Yes.
But I couldn't quite like photograph this one right. But I think TJP's got such a great face. I feel like I didn't quite get it. Like I love his jawline is perfect.
Yes.
You
There
know?
we go. So next one.
And this is my low effort Bullet Club phase. But this is what's kind of important with this as well is I was learning how to use these new markers that I've been using and to use like a more expensive paper. So this was me learning how to use paint pens and brushes properly, and I just sketched Ishimori, Clark Connors, and Show all together on one piece of paper. And I actually like this, but I would do it better now. If I was to do it today, I'd do it better. But when I look at it now, I'm like, yeah, it looks like Ishimori to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he's Nike face.
He does have a Nike face. I didn't realize.
Does have a little bit of a Nike face, and I really like his eyebrows.
I'd have a hard time drawing him because he's not like super compelling. Like he is and he isn't. He's one of those wrestlers I'm like right down the middle about. So
I'd love to draw like old Ishimori, like the neon yellow sailor boy Ishimori. That'd be great. But,
yeah,
you know,
maybe next time. Now you know how to use the pens. So
now this one, right?
To
go back to my
Are we gonna get real on this? There's some angst on the show pictures. So.
Go back to my earlier thing. I was like, I sketched this, and I was like, I'll just figure out how to draw a show, and then I'll do it again. And then I looked at this, and I was like, this kind of sucks. But you know what? Show kind of sucks. So,
I want to hear this show rant.
I'm just leaving it. What do I see in Show? I see a half-arsed job because Show is a viable talent. He's like, what was it, Roppongi 3K?
Yeah.
They were a great tag team.
Mm-hmm.
And the House of Torture fucking sucks.
Yes.
And it doesn't deserve any more effort than I gave it.
Hey, that is fair. That is fair.
You know what? If your Show, I guess take it as a compliment because that's what heel heat looks like right there.
I think it captures him.
He wouldn't even draw Dominic Mysterio, okay? You're not even like so. That's...
At least Dom has a fucking sick mullet, you know?
Yeah, he does. He has that going for him.
Oh, you know, it's now you're making me think about like, oh, that would be kind of fun to draw a mullet if you actually like could really. All right, let's get to the next one here.
Speaking of sick mullets,
yes,
that is sick.
I wanted to draw like his teeth, but I was running out of time, or his gum shield. You know, like that big, weird, like he looks like an anime version of Eric Bischoff when he smiles. Like he's got, you know, he's got that big smile, the jet black mullet. Speedball's cool. I hung out with Speedball years ago when he was in his exile,
awesome.
From the US. And so I like he has all that Mortal Kombat stuff, so I was like, I'll draw the Mortal Kombat dragon next to him. And
it fits him.
yeah, I just wanted him to be smiling and fresh because to me, Speedball is the most 90s man, you know, and I wanted him to look like a 90s cartoon character. Like he should be in the Hurricanes or in you know, a James Bond Jr. or something.
Oh, you're right. Yes. So you've been watching all those Saturday morning cartoons. Now you've got this like vast and like extra group of things to add to that. You're right. You just made me think of like, I'm like, this looks like a late 80s, early 90s, like Saturday morning cartoon that I want to watch.
Awesome.
Really bad.
I think Speedball would love that though.
I'd watch Speedball Adventures. No butter. You know?
Oh yeah. Yes.
But
like a Johnny Quest times like the Secret Saturdays type deal. That would be fun.
But he's such a, to me, he's like the ultimate 90s indie wrestler. Like he should have been having like 5-star matches with Jerry Lynn in front of 10 people, you know, instead of being a modern day superstar, you know. All right. Now, Sam, this is the first one for B Block, obviously.
This is the first B Block, so they said he told us before they were color coded. It took me a while to figure it out because
yeah. I like the color.
We are
coded.
entering the B block now, so we have the blue background.
I'm guessing, Sam. Do you know what this meme is? This is Dan Maloney's eyes.
Okay, I was trying to figure out, and I was like, and I made me think when you were talking about like not knowing how to draw people because you don't have like that connection. I was like, how in the world did you draw Dan Maloney? Because I did not have any connection to him. I don't know how he is in United Empire other than being Osprey's friend. I don't. I mean, he was okay, but those were the matches. His matches were ones I did not really pay attention to because I was not drawn. Because I think Brad even made the comment that like everybody in United Empire has like a really big personality, or they just are charismatic of some sort, and he's just kind of there.
See, I thought you would have been up on the original Dan Maloney meme, which when he was in NXT UK, when he was like 19, he did a promo, and he's like, "Oh, I've seen things, man, out on the streets. I've seen things," and that stuck around to the point where I was at Scrappermania a couple of months ago, and me and my friend Nick, the other guy from Canvas Theory, like there's like two people in between us in the stands, and Dan Maloney came out for his match, and Nick just shouts my name, and I look over, and he just does this because he's like, Dan Maloney has seen things, and when he comes out in New Japan, is like his VTR says like British youth have witnessed all this brutality on the streets. I'm like, Dan, you're still a meme, man. Like you're still
I don't know how I don't know this meme, and I watched NXT UK for a little bit. And I don't know why I don't remember. That's probably not very good that he was apparently that forgettable because I don't for some reason don't remember that at all.
He was in the original tournament back in the day.
Yeah, and I know, and I remember watching that. Like I know I watched that, so I don't know why.
Well, for us, like they were always around. The guys who were in that tournament wrestled in Ireland a lot, so it was like
that makes sense.
People we were very familiar with.
Before you go to this next piece,
I was gonna say
pop this up real quick. So Brad said, "Oh, Sam, there's some big Dan Maloney movement from today's show, and it's perfect." Okay, well, I will be looking forward to that. I'm hopefully gonna get to that show tonight. So
excellent.
Yeah, I know. I didn't watch the show, but I know like certain things. Like I know who won the world title. I know about the 6-man, and then I know about the 2 matches that are coming that will be at Forbidden Door, and I know the BOSJ. I mean, G1 entrance, but yeah,
we'll get to that.
Yeah.
To this one. I
like that. That's very cool.
I thought this would be one of your more favorites. I was like,
see, this one, like when I look at it, I'm like, okay, I could do that better now. This was me. I was like, how would I draw Despy like he's in a Frank Miller comic? And so I did that, but I did it with, you can see it, like I did it with a marker. And now I would do it with paint and it looked nicer. But the whole point of this thing was to be some kind of learning journey. So I'm like, okay, this is what I did on day 2, and this is the best I could do on day 2. I could do it now better, but and I still like it.
I love it. I think it's so cool. It's so much fun. I love the differences.
Oh yeah, that's Yo gets more than Show.
Understandable.
I mean, he is a little bit better.
I wanted to like show like the kind of weird darkness to Yo, which I think people saw more in this tournament.
Yeah.
And I drew a steaming pile of shit.
Is that because he's the one who draws the steaming poop, right? Is he the one that says art? Or I couldn't remember if it was him or Show that was drawing the poop a couple of years ago.
Yeah, so I drew that there just to kind of like be emblematic of him. As you can see, it's right next to the Speedball one as well.
Yeah.
but
he's just not good enough to be Speedball.
Who is?
Yo, I think he had a tournament. It was a growth tournament for him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, maybe he'll become something down the line. I'm not like on the Yo train, like I know Brad is from looking at the New Japan channel.
We'll see.
I also feel bad because like I'm earlier than everybody, so it's
right.
Like, I'm like watching it in the morning, and I go into the threads and just fucking talk about everything that happened. And then America wakes up and goes in and looks, and I guess maybe I hope I'm not spoiling things for people. But this is Watto. And I just did a sketch of Watto trying to figure out how to use a pen. And I'm in my arrogance, I sent a message to Mel and I went, listen, I'm not bothered doing this again. This is just going to be what I do for this because Wato is just going to be a bit player in this tournament. And
That's
yeah,
what I thought.
I was fucking wrong.
Yeah, when he beat when he beat Connors and Eagles, I was like, wait, what just happened? I was like, because at first I was like, okay, this is gonna be his fluke win. Then he beat, and then I was like, wait a minute, he's beaten both of them. What is happening?
He's he's had 2 classic matches within a week.
Yeah, I heard his match today was really good.
And it's like, yeah, he's become a guy now. So
I'm converted.
Him, you know,
I'm converted finally. I mean,
after the way he came back, and Nikki made the point when we were watching the tournament. She was like, they kind of treat him how they used to treat Yoshihashi before like fans kind of treat him like that. Like before Yoshihashi, like suddenly remembered he could wrestle a few years ago. Like she was like, he was just kind of there. And then like all of a sudden he like found this wrestler deep within him. Like we're like, where the hell has this been? So good for Wato.
When he was a young lion as Hirai Kawato, like he was great, and everybody was like immediately going, "Oh my god!" When he comes back from Mexico, he's going to be the biggest thing. And then I think he just came back at the worst possible time in that New Japan Cup with nobody in the building, and
yeah,
it's taken him a while to find his feet. But
right,
he's
he's
flying now.
Move home run today too. So
yeah, I really like that of him.
There
this is cool.
This is the Gavin Knight one.
That's very cool.
Like I'm happy with this, but if I had more of a personal connection to Kev, I think I'd have. And I like him a lot in commentary. I think he's funny, like the way he talks with Kevin Kelly, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of him. I think if I was to draw Kevin Knight in like 2 or 3 years, the version of Kevin Knight will be wilder and more like the Taguchi or like the stuff I did for his tag partner Kushida. So but he's great. He's like a kid who doesn't know his own strength, though. I think, like, you know, it's like when he does like an Asai moonsault, he's like, well, the guy's like 20 foot away, right? I better jump 20 feet. He's great, though. I'm looking forward to more from him, and he's another one of Shibata's success stories, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
No, this might surprise you. This is one of my favorites, right?
I like it.
It's very basic, okay, and you can see my sketch lines. But to me, I'm like, this looks like a still from a Kanemaru manga.
It does. I like it. It fits him. I like it.
Like it's like angry drinking dad Kanemaru.
Yes, he doesn't have time for anybody's shit.
And he had a good tournament as well.
Yeah,
good,
he did.
Good championship match with Hiromu a few weeks back, so.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
This was fun. This is my thing. Robbie Eagles, not a great draw on Robbie Eagles, but I was like, all right, I'll draw him with my right hand and then with my left hand and see if I could survive with just my left hand.
The left hand variant. I like it. It's cool.
I like the idea, though. I like the idea of like using your offhand and trying to.
I can't even write I can barely write with my non-dominant hand, so I couldn't even do that.
It's like I literally tried to do the same thing I did with the right hand, and I was just like, I can't do this anymore. Like you can see, like, any scarf or whatever it is. Like I tried to color it in on the left hand side, and I was like, no, I'm not doing this.
I'm out. Peace.
And I was like, this is another idea that didn't quite pan out, but I was like, I don't really know anything about Francesco Acura. So I did him on the same gold background, and I did the katakana for Acura over his face. So I was like, if I screw up the face, who cares? People can just read the katakana.
Or not, if they don't realize that's what it is.
This one I really like.
That's
actually.
Cool.
The by drawing black and white with just dark lines, you can kind of see his skull, which fits for the Bullet Club theme.
Yes. 100 proof over here. I like it.
I like it.
Now, of course, like I'd want to draw him so I don't know, I'd break out the inks so I could capture that tan of his. You know?
Oh, absolutely. You got to. And you got to add in the pink hair.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
Like when he came out today, I was there going, "Who puts oil on and then puts a vest on over it?" Because it's
Art
like
Connors, that's who.
he was oiled up on his chest, and I was like, "That's just ruining that vest, there, buddy." You know?
Oh, Clark.
All right. And this
I,
is the last picture on the slideshow. So
I banked on Bushi being a jobber in this tournament, and so that's why in his only picture, he is being put in the Doki Jogi. And, you know, they represent their blocks with their colors.
Oh, right. I love that.
And this one was, I digitally traced this, so this really took 5 minutes. But tracing is an underrated thing. Tracing, anybody who's learning how to draw, like, trace stuff. It's the quickest way to learn how to draw anything. You'll build up the muscle memory, because a lot of drawing is physical as much as it is mental, or it's building up the reps. And whenever I talk to like kids or you know, young adults or whatever who are looking to get into art, I'm just like, look, it's more like sports than you think. You know, it's like you really have to train your body to draw. Your eyes, your hands, everything to work together. And I think tracing is virtuous, and nobody gives it credit. I think it's the quickest way to figure these things out. And like, if you can get an iPad or you know, a drawing tablet, whatever, it'll help you get there quicker. Or even just grease-proof paper over a magazine. It'll teach you everything you need about anatomy way quicker than if
That
you're
makes
to
a
try
lot
and
of sense.
sit there looking at something and going, doing the thumb thing that all of us bums who spend all our time with pencils and pens do, you know, or getting the quadrant out, and forget that, just trace it.
So we did have a question early on from Brad, and he asks John if you plan to do all 32 entrants for the G1 next.
Maybe. Something I've discussed with Mel. Maybe. I'll say that. I don't know.
he has to be in the right mood to do things.
I can understand that. And 32, that's daunting. That's a lot.
This was, I mean, this. It was like fun from like the perspective of being like communicated to as it went along. So I got like little, you know, like daily updates and things like that along the way, and sort of like the frustrations and some of the stuff that John talked about, and of course just joking about, you know, like sucking at art and all the the process that goes along with and I think anybody who's ever done art, I know that even like you and Nikki can relate to this in certain ways. It's just like, sometimes you have to put things away, and sometimes you have to, and sometimes you hate yourself and you think that you're like the worst artist in the world and all kinds of fun stuff. So
like, I was drawing monkeys during this.
I remember
as a monkey at one point, because I'm like, I had to watch movies and get away from this project a lot, and that was with 20 guys. So I don't know, 32 guys.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. Maybe you could just do like the final four or something like that.
What I would like to do if I do a G1 project is I'd like to compose it and have it work as one piece. So I want to do multiple guys together.
Yeah, that would be cool.
You know, the blocks work as a poster piece as opposed to just doing 20 individual pieces.
Right. Brad said, I can't even draw a straight line with a ruler, so I'm impressed with anyone that can do anything artistic. Yeah, I'm not artistic at all. I can do like stick figures and a couple other little things, and that's basically it. Nikki says, awesome drawings. Thanks for the tracing tip. I've always wanted to draw, but I've never been very good. I'll probably try this.
I mean, look, if you want to draw, that's pretty much the most important ingredient. Like for me, I didn't go to art school. I learned basic techniques and then just practiced them, and that's it. Like, if you want to do it, if you really want to do it, and you're willing to be bad at it at first and just persevere and be bad in public, that's the hard part. You have to show your work to other people, because that's the only way to improve, really. It's and for me, like, I'm constantly trying to improve my work, and it's that want to learn as well.
Confirmed.
You know,
Right.
gotta want to learn and learn and learn, and because learning how to do stuff is part of the thrill of it. So
Right.
well,
Actually. And I love that I'm so glad that you wanted to bring this to us to share with us, because I thought that was such a cool idea. And it kind of reminded me of how like Haramu has his little book of of his competitors that he brings out every year. And when Mel
ah,
first told me, that's what it reminded me of. And I was like, oh, like Haramu's book that he has.
I never even considered that. But yeah,
I was like that. No, it just reminded me of that, and I thought that was really cool. But I love seeing that and how you can incorporate wrestling into like something that you do and something that you love. I think that's a really cool thing, and so I'm really glad that you shared that with us, because I really enjoyed them.
I'm glad to hear it.
Awesome.
Wrestling, drawing wrestling crap has been what I've done. When I was in school and I was supposed to be doing schoolwork, I was drawing
Of course.
on my the back. I remember leaving college. Actually, one of my exams in college, I stayed until the end. You know, if you don't finish the last 20 minutes, you have to stay even if you're finished.
Oh, right.
And I sat there and I came out at the very end, and my friend just came up to me and went, "Well, let's see what you did." Exam paper, and I drew Mr. Perfect on it. So,
That's great.
but
Nice.
it's just kind of always been what I've done, because I think wrestling it's the real world, but it's also like it's the fantasy world that exists inside the real world.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
it's I don't know. It's very. I said to Mel yesterday, wrestling I feel like is what we think the world should be.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, it should be. We feel like we should be able to resolve conflicts just by winning.
Yeah.
You know, something, or like we feel like we do have enemies, or that other people are villains, and that we're quite heroic. And I
Right.
feel like a lot of wrestling fans, we go in through the front doors of the building and we buy into that world now. We didn't even fans in the 50s, 60s did it as well. Like it's
Yeah.
you're taking part in the show. You're not just watching it.
Right.
And just by being there,
Yeah.
you're taking part in it.
Definitely. Yeah, and I think a lot of people who are watching this can definitely relate to that for sure.
I figured our audience would really appreciate this stuff too,
Yeah.
because we have such a fun group here too. So,
Yeah.
Jonathan, stick around for some. You gonna stick around for some quick rest of the day talk here?
If you want me to, I can.
Yes, I
Yeah, we
definitely-
love you too. Yeah, if
thank
you want to stay, please do.
Because this is like a whole theme, pretty much New Japan theme show almost. Some
Yeah.
Forbidden Door.
Well, yeah, because I'm gonna say there's obviously now even more overlap between AEW and New Japan setting up for Forbidden Door, and we actually kind of saw that earlier this week when we and we saw it with Double or Nothing once we kind of saw the stuff with now we know why Don, like, this is a question Mel and I had asked a long time, like, what is Don Callis doing with Takeshita? Like, what is his end game? What does he want from him? And which is what we kind of figured. Takeshita is the young new thing. Kenny's old, his body's breaking down. He needs a new meal ticket. And that's pretty much what happened and what we got this week on Wednesday. Don did give a little bit more. I wasn't sure if Don, because they were doing the Don talks again, and I was like, is he actually gonna like tell us why, or is it gonna be more of him just listening to his own voice? But man, that was like Don Callis got like Christian in Detroit level heat. Like, that's what I thought of. I was like, when it first started, but then it was like times 5. Like, it got worse. And I think what I really loved about that segment was Takeshita speaking in Japanese, like when Kenny was a heel in Japan and used to speak English to the Japanese fan. Like, I love that little detail. I thought that was really cool. And then somebody pointed out yesterday that Don Callis had this necklace and he gave it to Takeshita, and there's a picture of Takeshita and he's wearing the necklace that Callis gave him. So I thought that was like a really cool little detail that they did. So I am definitely invested in where the story is going and how they're going to use, because I wasn't sure how heel Takeshita would work, but it looks like it's based on that reaction. I mean, I think that was more for Don Callis, but I think they can make it work with Takeshita.
What do you think, John?
Well, I've Double or Nothing.
Well, the whole thing of all of what just happened.
Well, I mean,
I know where you stand on. I mean, we are both kind of Callis fans.
Oh
like,
yeah,
I was
Callis is great.
I mean, so anyway,
look,
we're all
that's not
perfect.
that's not the story. Okay, for me, I was just depressed, crestfallen, sad, shattered by the fact that Jeff Jarrett didn't leave Las Vegas with those tag titles. I
couldn't get off here without saying it.
I'm not bullshitting. Okay, I was here with my friend and we were watching it, and like we were both like, we're just both from the same era, you know, both the same age. And it's just like, there he is, Jeff. He's the last guy left from the new gen. Him and Billy Gunn, I guess. And that's my I have obviously I've been in the live chat here before, under my YouTube pseudonym, giving out all the support I can for Double J, because he's the last carny. That's what his gimmick should be.
Yeah, I would agree with that, especially with the now he's got Karen involved and
like and Jeff Jarrett. If AEW fell apart tomorrow, okay, and WWE told Jeff Jarrett he would never work there again, somehow he will be IWGP World Champion within 5 years. Like,
that seems pretty accurate.
I don't know, he's it. I mean, he was in the Four Horsemen, the NWO, and the Bullet Club. How is this man getting around?
Because carnies are gonna carny.
That's it.
I like the show overall. I think probably the main event was probably the match for me that I enjoyed the most.
Me too.
I love a good unlike I was the opposite to you, Sam. When I saw like a picture of Sabu in a magazine, I was like, I don't know what ECW is, but I know it's for me.
I can understand that. Yeah, and he's like taking a bump like a minute and a half into the match.
Like, I was just like, I had to go. Like, I love that. Like, and it's why I missed for so long that AEW brought back to mainstream American wrestling. I love the blood and guts, Dusty Rhodes bunkhouse, you know, madness.
Yeah.
And it's something that AEW gives me that other companies can't, I guess. You know, and that's what I love. I love that match, and I thought it was great. And it was there was a lot of star power in there and a lot of development going on as well.
Yeah, which
is what I like to see. It's what I liked about the New Japan in the last year. Like, they've been building younger guys up.
Yeah.
And I think really that's what's important. To be honest, I don't think there's anything bad on that pay-per-view.
I have to go back and rewatch some of the stuff. I could not get into the Adam Cole Jericho match. Like, I don't know if it's because it was second.
Yeah.
I was kind of looking at my phone. Like, I missed the ending because I was watching a promo with Zack Sabre Jr. and Big Tito and Bad Dude Tito. They were talking about going to Mexico, and they were like and it was really funny. And then the next thing I know, the bell rang. I was like, wait, what just happened? Like, so I missed the ending of the match, and that match I could not get into. And so I want to go back and like really like try to actually watch it, but I think a lot of people, like, they were just saying that the match with Roddy was better, and like that this match was kind of unnecessary, and which I guess I can kind of see right after that, especially. And I think it kind of hurt that there were so many stipulation matches on this card. Like, some of them were stipulation matches for the sake of being a stipulation match, which I can agree with. Like, I like overall, like, I like the show. There were some things that I wasn't like crazy about, but like, I wouldn't say it was a bad pay-per-view or anything like that. And I would still rather watch that than pretty much anything WWE does. So I was like, I mean, even though I heard the last WWE pay-per-view was really good, but I'm not going to watch a Blood Money show. So
nope.
I saw one person, I don't know who's put it out there. Maybe I read it in the Observer, actually. They said, like, the problem with the Jericho match in a lot of ways is all the extra bells and whistles start happening in the first 5 minutes, and then it was just two guys brawling, you know, in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a like blood feud match with no blood in it. And,
that's a fair assessment, I would say.
I mean, Britt Baker tries to draw blood from Jericho with that kendo stick, obviously, but it wasn't like, but everything else, I don't know, it was fine. Like, I mean, it wasn't a bad show. I mean, like, people forget, like, wrestling used to be shit. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I think the problem is AEW has set the bar so high that like when it falls short, the people is like, "Oh, this is terrible," when it's really not that bad. like maybe this was I mean, maybe this is my least favorite pay-per-view in recent memory, but it still was not that bad. Like there are things that I didn't like about it, but then like I think the whole thing changed like from the Jade match on was like almost a completely different show. Like some of the matches felt like Dynamite matches, which I guess is some of the may have been some of the issue for some people was like, and that's not a bad thing. Like Dynamite has good matches, like it's not that bad. And I guess, but for a pay per view, obviously they want things to step up. But like I thought, so there were some matches that I was like, yeah, that probably could have waited for Dynamite. But you know, for overall, like I thought it was a really good show, and I think Anarchy in the Arena was, you know, same for me. That was the best thing about it. And the 4-way match ended up being a lot better than the build gave. You know, the build didn't do any favors, and I think the match, like I knew it would be a solid match, but it ended up being much better than I thought it was going to be.
I think like people forget how bad wrestling was in 2010.
Like,
they do.
Oh, I mean, I was out. I mean, so I was just out. I mean, I was out.
I was watching it then. Yeah, it was not good.
You know, like everything sucked. Like,
yeah.
And you know, now like we get these shows and like they've got like 2 or 3 great matches on it. Like they used to be back. Like, go back and people talk about the Attitude Era. Go back and watch Judgment Day '98. You know how many great matches are on that card? 0. Okay. The best we got was like a 3-star match between D'Lo Brown and X-Pac. And you know, this current era, we get what we pay for.
Yeah.
You know, we buy these pay-per-views and they deliver good matches at least.
Yeah.
AEW for me hasn't really been hitting it in the way it used to creatively. I find TV to be less compelling than it used to be overall. But I feel like maybe New Japan will kind of prop them up for the next while, and hopefully,
I think you're right.
By the end of the summer, we're
the summer is gonna be insane. And so I'm gonna take this back to Takeshita because he will probably be a big part of this summer. Brad said that Takeshita's boys, as the fans were giving them massive heat, was impressive. He didn't waver at all and cut a great promo. He's gonna be a great heel. Now, who are the rest of the family members? That is a good question.
Where's Kenny? Because he was out of the country, but
yeah,
he wasn't
so Kenny,
in Canada.
Kenny didn't show up.
But he didn't show up at Dominion. So what the hell?
Yeah, that's interesting. Because that's what I thought when I was like, oh, are they opening with Ospreay because Omega is coming out like right after? So I did kind of stay up long enough to kind of see if he showed up, and I was like, okay, well, apparently he cut a promo and said that like he was facing Omega in Canada and Omega is not there. And then the next thing I know, they were doing the tag match with Naito and Shingo, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I was like, well, then where, like you said, where is Kenny?
I mean, he did call him out for Forbidden Door. He did call him out for Toronto. I think that was
expected.
I think that was the plan, as some of the people say or whatever. But until it happens, like until it's like written down for real, I won't believe it. But holy crap, because of course I'm going to that. And yeah, sign me up for Ospreay Omega.
I hope that my concern with this is Ospreay is not ready. I don't know where his strength is, and their first match this year is still match of the year for so many people, myself included, that they're gonna have to live up to it, and I hope that Ospreay's body can handle that, and that is definitely a concern going into this match, I would say. Or at least for me. And then he's going to be in the G1 after it, which is a little worried about Ospreay going into G1 when All In's right after that. Like I'm sure he probably was like, I'm fine, let me do it. But I would not have put him in the G1. That tournament is so grueling, and I don't think that was a smart idea.
But I think he's probably going to win it.
We'll talk about the BOSJ. I mean, the G1 stuff in a minute, because I still stand by what I said a few weeks ago, but we'll talk about that shortly. But you know, I mean, you can't count Osprey out in a G1. That is, you definitely can't do that. Gray says that AEW helped New Japan, and now New Japan is going to help AEW for sure. For sure. And then one of the other big things that this week, obviously, we'll go back to the Japan stuff because there's so much going on there. But before we do, so we did get the official announcement that CM Punk is going to be on Collision on June 17th. They're now showing him in the ads. Because I see the ad when I'm watching TNT for other things, like that ad is on a lot. I mean, the ad is mostly the one which I just get excited every time I see it because Scorpio Sky's in that ad, and I cannot wait to see him. So I'm super excited for that. But then like they've started to advertise Collision. Like apparently Collision is coming to Greensboro, which is like an hour and a half from me, and then they're going to be in Greenville, which is actually also about 2 hours from me, the opposite direction in South Carolina. And so they're using Punk's picture. But I heard, because I happened to tune in I tuned into Dave and Garrett's conversation with Evan Husney from
good conversation
from Dark Side. And so I stayed, like after they were done with Evan, I continued to listen. And they were saying that they announced Punk not for Chicago ticket sales, but because the ticket sales in Hamilton and Regina in Canada are so bad that they had to announce CM Punk to see if that would sell tickets up in Canada, which I thought was, I mean, I think it's a smart tactic. Because now it kind of goes back to when he came originally, like it was the worst kept secret in all of wrestling. Like we knew he was coming. We knew he was going to be at Collision. And it was funny because when AEW sent out, when I was going through the app, like as soon as he was announced, I got an alert that there were 3 new photos. And I was like, oh, these are Punk photos. And it tells you when they uploaded it. So they had uploaded those photos 17 days prior. They just didn't release it to us. So I was like, so they've known, like it's been, I mean, maybe they would have just, I guess if it didn't work out, they would have just deleted them. But I was like, they've been in there for 17 days because it says up in the corner, it said 17 days. And I was like, well, they've known for a while. So I guess that worked. And then so Brad says 500 tickets sold on Thursday alone for June 17th. That CM Punk hit as a draw, which is what Warner Brother was betting on. That's why he's back. Gray said Punk can F off at home. Well,
F off home. Yeah.
Do you know what I actually have to say about CM Punk?
What's that?
Nothing.
I think that's the best thing to say. I think if we go with it's I don't know. We'll see what happens. I want to support AEW. What I will probably do, I think I might have mentioned this before, and I've actually talked to another person that's going that is probably doing the same, is that we've kind of decided that we were going to walk up on Saturday night, and because they'll have in Toronto, because we'll be there by Saturday, right. And we'll get it on Saturday, and then we'll be there for the show on Sunday. Is that if they have any decent seats, maybe we'll go see the show when we're settled and everything. Because this is 7:00 start, so it's not terrible.
Will that be the second episode by then, or will that be the third episode?
Today is 3 weeks exactly until Forbidden Door, so there'll be. It might be the second one. Does that make it the second?
So yeah, I guess it would be the second episode because the first episode's the 17th.
Oh dear God!
So second episode. I think
you're right. Yep, that is. Yep.
So no wonder they were. So then that must have been why they announced it. Because is that in? But no, but that's in Toronto, right?
Not in Toronto at the Scotia. It's literally at the same location.
Okay, so yeah, and then are they? Well, no, I wonder if they're not doing it because they're supposed to be doing some ROH tapings like before. That's the plan is they're going to do ROH and Collision together, but I'm wondering if they're not doing that in Canada though. Like I wonder if they'll, because I know they're filming ROH matches today for the next 4 weeks, so they may not do ROH while they're in Canada. They may just wait till they come back then. Not that I heard that. Brad says the rumors are that Punk wants Jay and Juice to be on Collision since he loves their work. He knows how to get me to watch that show. Yeah, I heard that he has taken a liking to Jay, and I'm finally glad that we're seeing some more of Juice's personality, because I was like, please show Juice the same Juice that I love. It's like, please let him be on TV. And we're finally getting, especially like where he yells Ricky all the time. Somebody made a clip and it's just him yelling Ricky. which I think is great. Daza says Punk could be the hottest heel in AEW, and there's so many possibilities for as long as he's there. I think that's what Warner Brothers is betting on, Daza. That I don't know if they're going it would make sense to go the heel route with him, but I don't know if that's where they're going. But supposedly, I read something the other day that they're not sure now if the Jericho feud will be the first thing that happens, if they are going to save that for a little bit. And of course, there's obviously the rumor that they want to revisit some stuff with Samoa Joe, which could be really interesting. Brad says Jay and Juice tag team chance would be better than FTR. I am right there with you, Brad. You know my feelings on FTR, and I love Jay and Juice, so I would be very happy if that is what happened there. And Daza said, I'm just going to enjoy the ride both in front and behind the camera.
I'll just say this about like Jay White. Jay White has proven that he can swim in the deepest waters in wrestling.
Yeah.
He's a main event guy. Like, he's wrestled at a higher main event level than, I'm going to say, 90% of the roster in AEW.
Yeah.
So it's foolish to not use him. So however he gets used, use him, because like there's not a lot of, you can't teach that. Like you can't just put that on somebody. You have to learn how to swim in those waters.
Yeah.
By swimming in them. And Jay has that top guy experience, so he should be using that.
Yeah. Way. And especially because some people have like not really liked how Jay's been used so far in AEW. I don't mind it because I've had a feeling like it's
been there very long.
And he's been building up. Yeah, people are like, you can't. This isn't WWE. They're not going to just put Jay in the main event picture the minute he shows up. Like, they're not going to treat him like Cody Rhodes or something like that. Like, I get it, because Jay is, again, one of my favorites. He's my favorite heel. But I was like, putting him with Ricky is smart. Like, I love Ricky and I love Jay and I love Juice. Like, to me, I've enjoyed it just because I enjoy all three of them. And, you know, it sounds obviously, you know, some people fussed about them being in the Battle Royal, but I mean, the Battle Royal was basically just a whole bunch of, there was like multiple storylines happening within that because they just moved it over there. And so now we've got, and then it's Jay versus Ricky next on Dynamite this week. I believe they're getting that. So, I mean,
hopefully it'll actually happen. I would really like to see it. And I think it would be good for Ricky if Ricky can work with Juice, with Jay, and like John said, because because Jay is so experienced, like it could really help level him up in ring.
Right. Well, and I'm just glad
they talk just fine. He doesn't need any help there.
No. Well, and I'm just glad they got Ricky away from Jericho.
Really like Ricky starts.
that didn't need to happen. So I'm glad they got him away from that. Brad says Jay came in during the build of the Elite versus BCC and the 4 Pillar story. No way he was going to be shoehorned into those. He was on TV every week, and that's great. Agreed. And then Grace reminds us that he single-handedly sold out MSG. He did not sell out Las Vegas, but that's because he had already sold out Wembley, or came close to selling out Wembley. So, you know, that's a lot of pressure to put on Jay. Okay. Yeah, right. He did the best he could with Vegas.
He got Chicago and MSG, so
yeah, I mean, you know, United Center is a pretty good thing to, and I guess that, you know, now he'll probably be hopefully he'll be at Forbidden Door. That'll be interesting to see how that plays out, since he left New Japan, and how if they involve him, like I think you have to have him on Forbidden Door too after all of that, but that would be interesting to see how that plays out. Let's see here. So this will go back into Dominion, since we asked, like, we didn't know where Kenny was. And so Kenny has, you know, I think they're talking about they're bringing in some more people to help them. And so people assume obviously that Ibushi is one of those people, but then the rumor is that, or people's guess, like on who the other person that he's talking about is Okada. But now we see Okada is getting ready to wrestle. Well, actually, we'll put a spoiler alert up first.
Let me do the.
Let's get that up.
Here we go.
I missed it last week, so we'll put up the spoiler for you guys listening on the audio, we're gonna spoil some things from Dominion now because it's gonna cross over to Forbidden Door, so we'll be spoiling some of that too. So you may want to skip ahead
There, you
or
got your
pause this.
picture.
Pause that until you come back. So Kenny did, like we touched on before, Kenny did not show up at Dominion. But some people think the other person besides Ibushi is that Kenny is maybe going to be trying to get Okada to join them, or to help them out. But now we see that Okada is going to be wrestling Danielson at Forbidden Door. So that'll be kind of an interesting thing with, I guess that could also set up some stuff there with obviously with BCC and the Elite, and now how Okada's kind of now he's involved with it as well. And we saw, because we saw Kenny and Okada tag together at New Year Dash, and that was a really cool thing to almost a surreal thing to see with that. So do you think that Okada will be involved with some stuff with the Elite, maybe to help them out?
Oof, I'm going first here because I gotta say that when this happened, when Danielson's promo played, I peed myself a little. I was like, I mean, I can't believe it. Like these aren't 100% booked matches, so I'm not like trying to. But I mean, this Forbidden Door show is starting to look ridiculous.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I can't. Okada's going through this thing where he's like, especially now they've got Kiyomiya and I'm just jumping this right now and we'll come back to it, but they put Kiyomiya in the G1, and so there's that feud. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if Okada is going to be helping. I'm not sure. John, what do you think?
He's not going to be around for very long because, like, if you're talking, I don't know. I mean, people are talking like they're going to do this blood and guts thing, but that's not set in stone either. That's not like it's something that's been announced. So,
right.
I think Okada is going to be available in June, and then he's not going to be available, pretty much until the end of the G1.
Right.
So,
right. So, but do you think that they'll use him at Wembley? That they'll bring him? This is what Kenny's trying to bring him in for, is to help them out at Wembley.
If I was AEW, I would be pushing the hardest I possibly could to get Kenny Omega to wrestle Okada at Wembley, because
I've heard some people say that too.
You need to give that show the greatest AEW match of all time.
Right.
You're a jerk. Hey, you're saying this because you want that match. Damn it. Because you're going to be at that show. It's not fair.
They caught lightning in a bottle with the attendance to that show.
Yeah,
There's no way they're selling 65,000 tickets in that again anytime soon, unless there's some kind of like, I don't know, unless there's a clone of 1997 Rock somewhere, ready to come in and tag with
no matches announced.
Yeah, but that's it. Like, they're never going to do this again. Like,
right.
It'll be the company attendance record forever. So you gotta give the best match possible to that venue, to that crowd. And I'm like, if you're gonna do Omega and Ospreay at Forbidden Door, you gotta have, like, I think you have to do Okada Omega 4 in Wembley, just because it's gonna, again, it has to be one of the greatest matches of all time. It has to be one
so you don't think that they would do, because Mel has thrown out a couple times that she thinks they should do Ospreay Omega 3 at Wembley, and then that's where Ospreay gets his win over Omega.
Could do. Look, that's possible, but I would almost bank on Ospreay and Omega 3 happening in Japan
at Wrestle Kingdom again.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's maybe not bad. That's not a bad. I mean, if you're talking about having Omega Okada again, I mean, that match, no matter what, when that match happens, no matter where, no matter what, like, that's the biggest match ever. Like, that's the penultimate match for wrestling fans right now.
Sure.
Because we've been waiting for that. We didn't know if it was ever going to have a chance to even happen again. There were times where we were like, that may never happen.
Right.
And now we're back where we actually have the reality of it. I didn't even think about it, but Now that you're saying it like that, and it seems really obvious, I probably should have seen the writing on the wall from about 100 miles away, is that actually does make more sense to put that there than anything.
I just think that show needs a blowaway match. Like that's
it.
Yeah.
But I think you can't half-arse this. Like it's got to be full on. You know, like AEW is a very high standard under pay-per-views anyway. I don't think this is gonna be a pay-per-view, but whatever. It's like
they better have a way to televise. I'm gonna be pissed. Well,
he did say on the media call, because people were of course asking, and he was just like, I can't give you any information right now, but he was like, there will be a way for everyone to watch it. He was like, he wanted to say, but he can't. If it is the HP, and if it is because of the Max situation, then I assume it's because Max is making them wait to do anything. And so he basically was like, we have to get through Double or Nothing and Forbidden Door, and then we can start focusing all in.
He's gonna Tony Khan is gonna personally upload an MKV file to Extreme Wrestling Tournament.
You probably would.
That's whatever it takes, okay? Because I better get to see that show. Like,
but it's just like I don't know where you go. You have to over deliver though. In that regard. And like with Forbidden Door, I think this is the kind of show. I'm a New Japan supremacist. Okay, I own up to that. So for me, I'm just like, I think Kenny Omega is far and away the best wrestler in AEW, and I think Bryan Danielsson is probably number 2. I'm putting them in there with 2 guys who operate on the highest level in the sport, and the New Japan main event. That's the Olympics of wrestling, you know. Like it's the most focused like professional wrestling product in the world, and it's not a TV show, you know. Not to take away from what the guys in AEW do, but they're wrestling for television. New Japan is wrestling for wrestling, and that's why the matches are the way they are. And I think Ospreay and Okada anyway are like, they're 2 demigods of athletics, you know, and I think Omega's right up there with them, and I think Danielson's right up there with them, but I think Danielson hasn't had that level of opponent. You know, he's wrestled Omega once, but like there's a certain god tier of wrestler that these guys exist in, and seeing, I mean, look, I think the low end for them is 4 3/4. And I think the high end for Danielson Okada is 5.5, 6 maybe. Right. You know, if you're talking the star rating for their match. I just think that's where Bryan Danielson needs to be. There's probably a lot of people speculating about where he'll go, like would he go back to WWE or whatever, but I'm like, this is where he needs to be. He needs to be in New Japan.
He'll go to, he would go to New Japan before he ever went back to WWE, I think.
That's true too.
So assuming that we are getting Okada, Danielson, obviously that's, you know, they'll make those when they make those official. And then obviously Omega Ospreay. Which one of those do you think would close Forbidden Door? Which one of those would you main event with?
I think you have to go with Okada, right?
I don't know. No? I think maybe you go with the short thing. You know what Omega and Ospreay are going to give you. That's what I would do. But,
yeah. Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
I just please don't do a WWE on it and have one of the matches open.
You know? I think they would be more likely to do a double main event than they would have like
they are talking like it's a double main event more to like what
I can understand that.
Heard sound more like a double main event than they do a like that kind of thing, because you've got there's FTR versus the New Japan versus Bishamon, and
you were this close
potentially
this close to having Evil and Yujiro.
I know. Tell me about it.
I did not hear about that. I actually forgot that match was even happening, and I'm very glad that they did not have House of Georgia win that match. So glad. Actually, I completely forgot until you started to say that, and I was like, "Oh, thank goodness they did not." I guess they finally figured out like the fans are not on board. They really are not on board with this, and that is not a match you put on Forbidden Door. Maybe Tony was like, "Absolutely not."
Did you actually, Mel? I'm sure you picked up on it. Did you hear what Kevin Kelly calls Tony Khan? He referred to him several times through commentary as Mighty Boss Tone.
Oh, is that who he was calling Mighty Mighty Boss Tone? That's who he was talking about.
Fantastic.
Oh, that's
fantastic.
hilarious. Oh my gosh, I never put it together.
That's so great. So Brad makes a good point, and or an interesting point. He said, I think it's either Omega Osprey or MJF versus whoever comes for the AEW title, and he said possibly Tanahashi.
I don't think MJF's gonna be on Forbidden Door.
Oh, the way he keeps shit talking New Japan, I won't be surprised if he's on it, because he's done it since he's been champion. He said, that they're just an indie fed, he doesn't get the hype, and the way he keeps shit talking it, I expect him to be on the card. I mean, maybe he won't. Maybe that's how they get around him not being on the card. But I think that's the whole reason he's saying the things that he's saying, is because somebody is gonna. And Tanahashi would make the most sense. The ace of the universe is gonna be like, "How dare you talk about New Japan like this? I will show you what New Japan is all about." So I could see that potentially being how they get him on the card. I mean, maybe they're just saying they're just going to let him keep shit talking, and that's how they're going to not book him, is be like, oh, well, he hates New Japan, so we're not going to put him on this card. But I assumed that the way he was shit talking is because somebody's going to take exception to that and challenge him at Forbidden Door.
To be honest with you, I'm so bored of Max at this point. I want something new from him. There's such an established pattern with him.
Well, and go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'm like, put him in a match with Shibata and have Shibata kick the fuck out of him.
Yeah, I mean, I would not be mad at that. But I go back to that original promo, and sometimes I forget about it. He said in his promo when he finally won, he was like, people are going to hate this title run. They're going to hate me by the time it's over with. And he's like, the fans are going to turn on me. And he was like, because he's wrestling, he's doing like, I think it was like one of Triple H's runs where he just basically wrestled whenever he felt like it. And that's exactly what he's done. He has lived up to everything he promised in that first promo. And so that's what I have to keep going back, because sometimes I'm like, what are we doing here? But then I was like, then I go back to that promo and I'm like, he said this is what was going to happen. This is what he was going to. So
I knew it was going to happen, because everything Max has been involved with since he turned heel has been, okay, I have an opponent and they hate me, so now they got to go through a gauntlet of guys.
Well, yeah.
And they're gonna
that is still, I agree with that.
And then I'm going to cut a promo about how somebody made me sad when I was 19, and then I'm going to cry, and my opponent's going to feel a bit bad, and then we'll have a match and I'll cheat and win anyway, and I'll go and cut a promo about how much I hate myself. I'm like, come on, man, something new, something fresh.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and I hope that once we get past Forbidden Door, I hope if they're gonna keep with the rumor that Adam Cole is gonna be his next challenger. So,
he's a very talented performer.
Yeah,
it's just the creative around him is just stale. And there's flashes of brilliance. Like, I love the big band thing he did on Dynamite, where he had the jazz band.
Oh, the re-bar mitzvah.
Yeah,
that was brilliant.
That was awesome. I loved the re-bar mitzvah. I'm not gonna lie, that was
that was great. That's like peak MJF. Like, that's what he does. You like the stuff with what he did with Jericho, where they were doing the
dinner debonair.
That stuff. Like, but it's perfect for him for what he does. But yeah, it does get a little stale. But I just try to go back to that first promo, and I was like, well, he is, even if it's stale, he's going back to what he said, and his whole thing is work harder, not smarter. And I mean, work smarter, not harder. And he's clearly not working that hard when he wrestles I think every 3 months.
The fact that you could get 4 tickets to Double or Nothing for buying burgers at a casino.
Didn't they prove that was false? I thought that they debunked that.
I think they did debunk it, but they did not.
They were still doing comp tickets, but I think the thing about buying the burger and getting tickets, I think, was debunked.
I had to.
But, you know what? Why not, John? Why not?
No, but
just
Double or Nothing.
I like the meme.
It didn't sell out.
No, it did not sell out.
No, it did not. I think it did 9,000.
But
no, that's not correct. It was 11,000 fans, and I think Meltzer said it was they did 900,000 at the gate or something so they did just under 1 million or something I can't remember what the exact numbers were, but it was clearly not up to what they had been doing.
But there was no doubt in my mind that Max was retaining that title. There was no drama, and contrast that with today with I was going into Suji versus Sonata thinking, I don't know, man, maybe.
Yeah.
Like,
No, you're
Us
right.
too. We talked
Yeah,
about this. We
did.
conjectured that they could give it to Tsuji.
Yeah.
So
Brad says the bigger question, this kind of goes into what we're talking about now. The bigger question is what happens with the NJPW title on the show? Does Sonata have a one-on-one or part of a multi-man tag match? These main titles have to be present on the show.
I can pitch a match.
Please do.
I want Jeff Jarrett, Satnam, what's his name?
Just five
Pencil.
guys. Satnam Singh.
Pencil guy.
And
Sanjay
Dutt.
Jay Lethal, Jeff Jarrett, Taichi, Sonata, Taka, Kanemaru,
And just five guys.
Doki, just 10 guys. They wrestle 10 on 10 tag team match against whoever.
And let Gino Gambino call it.
Yes, please.
Did
like, you hear how hard Chris Charlton popped Gino so hard when he sang him the song? It was so funny.
Cannot wait to get that.
Got to. It's amazing.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to this show. Yeah, and I saw somebody last night because I had briefly forgotten about Gino, and I saw somebody. They're like, "Who is this third person on commentary?" I was like, "They don't know who Gino is." They did not have. I guess they did not have the Onion with them on commentary last night. No Onion. What happened to that Onion?
I don't know what happened to it.
Did they finally cut it up?
I just had to laugh because I had forgotten. I knew, but I had forgotten. And then as soon as they went live and he was talking, I was like, "Are they doing their impressions already?" And I was like, "No, Gino's on the show. I forgot." So
that's
stupid.
so great. And go ahead.
No, sorry. I was gonna say I don't think this card needs any title matches. Like, you've got the US title obviously being defended with Ospreay and Omega, but I don't think it needs a world title match. I think they can get away with doing Sonata and just five guys in a tag match or something. But I don't think they need to do it.
Yeah. Brad says the only negative is that there was no Doki Choki, so Gino couldn't give us his world famous call.
That's true.
Well, then that kind of leads me to the question that I was gonna ask, because you were saying that they didn't need to have a title matches, is would they put Willow on this card? Because we saw Willow defended the New Japan Strong Championship Friday night on Rampage against Emi Sakura in a fantastic match. Like, I knew it would. Like, those four matches were great, and of course I wanted to see Shibata and Lee Moriarty. Like, that was really big on that. But I really wanted this match because I am a huge fan of Emi, especially after watching Dark and Elevation for a long time. I've seen her wrestle for when Deadlock Pro came. I got to see her there, and I was like, and she's a completely different Emmy on the indie scene. And then of course I love Willow, and so then I wondered, and especially because Tony had said like he's the one who chose Willow to go represent ROH at Resurgence. Clearly, the ending was not what was planned, but he seems to be really happy with her. And so if Mercedes is not cleared by then, do they put Willow on this show? Because last year at Forbidden Door, they did have one women's match. Assume it'll be just one women's match again this year. So would it be Willow defending that title?
Well, who's the IWGP Women's Champion?
Mayu.
Well,
because it's back in Stardom.
I mean, that's, to me, seems like the obvious thing. You got two champions there. I mean, there's two champions in AEW. You could run
a tag match.
No, you can do two champion versus champion matches if you want.
Yeah,
that can kind of fill the gap then if you're talking about no singles titles. Like, personally, I just don't see because we got the G1 starting soon. I don't see an IWGP singles heavyweight championship match happening. I think Sonata's going into that as world champion,
right?
And I don't know, you could do it like Mayu Utani and Willow and Statlander, and who else? Who's the women's? Oh, Tony.
It's Tony.
Tony Storm. Yeah, she just grabbed it.
Oh, Brad. You know what? I think I have heard this. Brad said Stardom has the big show the same day as Forbidden Door. He believes so. Then that would take Mayu out of it.
I don't know. I mean, like, you could do that though. I mean, like, why not?
I would prefer for them to. I would like to see two women's matches on there, but
The thing is though, like, if it's a New Japan is a men's promotion, and you're promoting this as a crossover, so it's naturally going to be dominated by men's matches.
Right.
Like, if it was the crossover with Stardom, obviously you'd expect more women's matches. So that'll be what it'll be, I guess. It's I don't know. I mean, like the only problem is Willow is not exactly an outsider, so you might have to bring someone from Stardom over, because Willow's just an AEW regular. There's nothing exotic about bringing the New Japan Strong Champion, and that's the problem. Is like I think that was where a lot of the disinterest in the Tony Storm Thunder Rosa match came at the Forbidden Door previous. It was like there's all these like dream matches happening with Sting and Shingo and all this, and then it's just like an AEW title match, and you're like, okay, well, that's just an AEW match.
Right.
Whereas, like, where are we getting? Because I mean, like, I don't know, bring in what's her name, Samira Natsu, bring her in from Noah. Like, the doors are open there. Bring
Well, they're doing the Noah crossover, so they could definitely bring in anybody that they want. I mean, they've got the All Together show next Friday. We've got Friday, and then
yeah, that's like there's a lot of this is a problem I have to talk about women's wrestling is a lot of people seem to think that Japanese women's wrestling begins and ends with Stardom, and it very much doesn't. Like Tokyo Joshi Pro, Sendai Girls.
Oh yeah, and they were actually. I mean, we actually talked about it last week. You know, Nyla is going back to she's going to TJPW in a few weeks, and she started. She was part of Sendai because like when I interviewed her a couple years ago, like we talked about the Sendai stuff, and like she loved her time there and was like wanting some of the Sendai girls to be in AEW. So like this would be a great way to do that. Daza says AEW should finally work with Stardom. The women's wrestling on the show would improve massively. Well, and it would probably also expose some of the women on some of the AEW women, I think. And you got to be careful with that on a big show. Brad says Willow versus Miyu Yamashita because she's here. She's wrestling in America currently. Willow versus Maki Ito. Like I would love Maki. And
she's also floating around too, I think.
Yeah, she's been wrestling.
She was in Detroit. She was on
she's been doing some GCW stuff. She's been doing some other indie stuff. I think Miyu just did an indie show last night. I think she do Defy last night? Or no, Prestige, I think is where she was at last night. So she's here if they went that route.
They should bring in Miyu Watanabe from TJPW. And she can do her
that'd be good.
A weird hand thing that she does and then do the giant swing. I think I love about Miyu Watanabe is like she looks like I don't know, like she dresses like an idol singer. She's got this like very kind of like girlish face, and then she wrestles like Claudio Castagnoli, all power moves and stuff.
That's
and
awesome.
Like they always put her in with the big foreigners.
Well, then that would be that sounds like a great match with Willow then, because Willow is such especially with her doing the strong title, and like that's what she's talking about is like the strength as like, as a wrestler and as a woman and things like that too. Brad says, I think an issue is Rossi, the Stardom owner, has an interview that he doesn't want to work with AEW. He'd rather work with WWE. Well, good luck with that, Rossi. and he said Stardom booker, not owner. Well, you have fun with that, because especially because Vince is back. Yeah, good luck with that. He can't even book the women he has.
Well, the thing with like, the women in Japan, like they're at such a high level.
Yeah.
And I think I don't understand why if I'm Tony Khan I don't just essentially go like I would have went in and bought out Stardom before I'd bought out or TJPW or somebody before I'd go after New Japan almost, just because the women in Japan have a generational advantage over the women in the US when it comes to like training. There's no like you think back on the Attitude Era, which is 20 years ago now or whatever. Like there was no real high level women wrestling at that time in the mainstream in the US. At the same time, you look back at say even the end of the 90s in Japan, you still had Manami Toyota, you still had Aja Kong, you still had like a lot of stuff going on, even though All Japan Women died in the mid 90s. There was still a lot of talented performers there, and the people who are in their 20s now in Japan have learned from them and have worked with high level wrestlers. Like I often think about like when you see like the young women coming up on the indies, like especially in a country like Ireland or whatever, they're stuck wrestling the 4 or 5 women that are local to them. You know? And that's not a lot of people to learn from. Whereas the guys have way more people to learn from.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing in Japan. Like they they just accelerate at a higher level because they got so many better opponents to work with.
Right.
And
Yeah.
So it is something I'd love to see. I'd love to see like more cooperation between those companies because I said before, I don't care what the next Okada looks like or where they're from or wherever. I just want another Okada, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Train them and get them ready. And I think it's going to take a long time. I think this is probably going to take longer than we think in the US to have like that Japanese level of women's wrestling. It's not impossible, but it's just going to take.
And you're seeing more indie women wanting, like, they know that Japan and Mexico are like where they need to be to get better. Because I mean, like, even Jade has said, like, I want to go to Japan. Like, and then you see what Mercedes has been doing. Like, they know that, like, Japan, and you see so many women, like Billy Starks has already wrestled in Japan, and so like you see, they know, like, okay, if I want to get good and want to get, or actually not good, like if I want to be great, I have to step up my game. Like, I have to go to Japan and I have to wrestle these women there because they're the standard.
Like they have a training culture there as well. I think what you see, it used to bug me when I go to like shows and I'd watch two women wrestle and they're both like 150 pounds and 5 foot tall and they're wrestling like two guys who are 300 pounds and 6'5".
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, because you learn how to wrestle. The Mountie taught you how to wrestle.
Yeah.
Like Whereas then when you watch the Japanese wrestling or stuff from Mexico, they were trained to wrestle for their size, and that's I will say this though. One thing's missing from women's wrestling is there's no, like, we need more Ajikongs, or we need more Dynamite Kansais. We need like that style of like female Vader to make a comeback.
That's
and
what
that era of
yeah,
like they were brutal. Like when you go back and watch those what was the woman's name? Don't Matsumoto. Like you go back and watch her matches in the 80s, like they were just like they were murder fests.
Jeff Hawkins called Nyla Rose the Vader of this of AEW, and like they need to let her off.
They do,
and let her do her thing a little more. And I was like, if she got some like, because she can talk and she can do the interaction thing, and she's really good on social media. So I was like, all right. She could at least, like, I think that she should at least try for that.
I think they should let her. I think that they definitely could let her do a lot more. And I think that Nyla could be a bigger star if they put her on TV, because they relegated her to YouTube for for a really long time, and they did go with that. It did make me laugh that they put her on Dynamite this week to wrestle Tony, because that's what happens in AEW when you win a women's title. Then Nyla is your first opponent, because it's what they always do. But then Nikki also pointed out that it was almost June, and so that's probably also why they did it, which is probably correct, because they got to get in their one token match in June, which it's like maybe that means they'll put Sunny on. Sunny will probably just be relegated to ROH, but maybe she'll get on TV.
The thing with Nyla is like you said Vader there,
like, I know how much you love Vader.
No. I just don't think. And this might sound weird, right? But I think Nyla Rose is too responsible to be Vader. Like there was a like Vader. If Vader owned a restaurant, all it would serve is potatoes. Like, he just. I'm sure he was a lovely guy, but he just had no worry about hurting his opponents.
Right.
And I think that, like, when you watch those classic Japanese women's matches, there was a touch of that to it. Like, Aja Kong and Manami Toyota from that famous Tokyo Dome card, like, they were going out there wrestling like it was the last day of their lives. And there's a rough and tumbleness to it. And I think that's something I'd like to see more of. And you see it in Japan, like I haven't watched enough Stardom to comment on it fully, but like I saw the Stardom New Japan Historic X-Over show, and the main event between what was it, Mayu Iwatani and Kairi Hojo, or she's just Kairi now. Like that was violent. Like that was so violent and brutal and brilliant. And I'd like to see more of that. And
Yep.
I think the best AEW women's match probably still is that hardcore match between Britt
Britt.
and Thunder Rosa.
Yep.
And like I know some people were like, clutching at their pearls at the
Of
sight of
course,
these
because
women.
women can't bleed.
I'm like, no, more of that. Get out. Look,
No, I'm with
like,
you. I'm with you. Yeah.
No, like,
You
who
women
cares?
can't bleed except once every fucking month. Like, whatever.
How dare they bleed from their
Do
faces?
they understand how much blood that we see in our course of our lives? Do they understand that? They
No,
just
they
don't.
don't.
On
No,
the
because we
Muda
don't. We're
scale?
not allowed to talk about that. So
Yeah,
of course
right.
they
Exactly. On the
understand
Muda scale.
That he should have his own like range of sanitary products, like It's like
Ah, I would totally buy those.
oh, but by the
Same.
way, wouldn't be out around the possibility. I've seen some of the stuff he endorses in Japan.
I honestly, I would be. Make that fun for me somehow,
Right? Yeah.
please.
All right, we have some comments over here that I want to get to. So Brad says this Mercedes isn't ready for Forbidden Door. I'd love to see her come in for the big Boston show for a rematch with Willow. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people were saying like the night that Willow won. I was like, Willow just won 3 seconds ago. Can you like not book her to lose her title and she just won? Can you relax with that? But I do agree with that. I think I think that's the match that would make the most sense. And Tony has said like only he and Mercedes know what the plan was for her. So that'll be interesting. Daza says, to me though, it's not just what's inside the ring with the women. They've got to come up with an identity and stories beyond the mean girl and snobby influencer tropes that God, and the indie scene is full of that. Joshi wrestling isn't just about great matches. There's also themes of honor, working hard, and friendship in the stories, which puts women in a more positive light, which is how I read it. Yeah, it would be nice if they would get away from the tropes that Mel and I talk about all the time, where women are just catty and don't like each other and can't possibly.
That reminded me of a very sad story I read where Bull Nakano, she talked about how she cried when she heard that the New Japan guys had Chanko together, because all the women in All Japan women hated each other and they'd all sit on the bus and just scowl at each other all day.
Oh,
Wow.
God.
And I love Bull. Bull was fucking great. I remember when I was a kid, like her and what's her name, Medusa, Alundra Blaze, like they came into WWF, and it's amazing listening to the commentators watching like the state of the art, because they're so used to watching like Bastion Booger and Duke the Dumpster.
Right.
And like these two women just come in here and give them the All Japan women like god tier style of wrestling, and it's like, okay, it's like, you go from literally watching Bastion Booger, and then somebody comes in and has an Okada match, and you're just like, wait, what?
Wrestling can be that. It doesn't have to be.
Wrestlers are athletes. What's going on here?
Brad said that recently Tam Nakano versus Mia Shirakawa, I hope I pronounced that right, just beating the hell out of each other for 15 to 20 minutes. It was beautiful violence. That sounds like it was.
I mean, I'm into that.
Whereas like Tam Nakano comes out with the song and dance, and she has like the princess gear on, and then she gets in the ring and she's like Takayama, just like like just destroying people. Like that's the same with Yuka Sakazaki. It so annoys me when I watch Yuka Sakazaki in ROH and AEW, and they have her wrestle like a kid, and then when you watch her in TJPW, and it's just like she wrestles like, I don't know, it's like a Leone movie or something. It's just violence and sorrow. It's amazing. Like, and it's funny because she does look like a little genie, but when she gets in those main events over there, she's like, I've seen her wrestle incredibly physical matches. I remember at Drew Parker, who I'm sure you're probably aware of, Sam, because he does that match. So, like there was one match a couple of months ago, and Sakazaki like kicked her opponent in the face when she was tied up in the corner, and Drew Parker said, "I would just get out of the ring and go home."
That's enough of that. I gotta go.
I'm out. Peace.
Oh, okay. I know we're running long. So, is there anything that you guys want to throw or say about the BOSJ announcement? Is there any surprises?
The G1.
God, why do I keep saying? Yeah, I'm still on
It's
BOSJ.
okay. It's
I'm
fine.
looking right at the G1
Because you're
lineup
looking,
too.
it's because you're still got all those wonderful pictures in your brain.
It is because I was like, I have the G1 lineup right in front of me where it literally says G1 Climax. But so, what do you guys think about the field this year?
I can't wait to see Hatred Okada face all the pretty boys. Like, Okada is like, he hates these little like pretty guys like
like
what's his
Okada
name?
himself isn't pretty, but okay.
Well, Okada's a handsome man now. He's not a
This-
pretty boy anymore.
I mean, some people say he's a himbo, but
He's but he's like Kiyomiya and him are on a collision course. And I love how much he hates Kiyomiya.
Me too.
And like it seems like Okada's been pissed off ever since Kiyomiya kicked him
in the face.
Yep.
For being a dick. Like Okada was just no selling him, and Kiyomiya's like, all right, if that's how it's gonna be, this is how it's gonna be. But yeah, I want to see Okada wrestle him. I want to see him wrestle Shota Umino, and all the
that
pretty
shocked
boys.
the hell out of me, actually.
I love this Okada hate era. Where he's
this is fun. I love this Okada. Like, I loved Brokada so much, but I love this like, I love this version of him. He's so much fun.
Like, he wears Inoki's colors and stuff, and it's like, all right, I think his gimmick is what Antonio Inoki was like in real life.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
like,
see, it seems to be
perfect.
Constantly annoyed, constantly just like, all right, get out of the way, I'll fucking do it. Like, that's
I love Okada so much.
I do.
He's do great. Everything. He can do anything.
Brad did point out that we're not getting Fale or Yujiro Takahashi BS day off matches this year.
Yeah, it's nice.
Chase Owens is still in it, but
I know. He still somehow manages to make it in every year.
I was like, you have spots for literally every member of TMDK but Bad Dude Tito, but you got room for Chase Owens. Okay. I'm hoping they're at least gonna bring Big Teats in to do like the tag matches like they were doing like with last year when they would do like Filthy Tom and Royce Isaacs last year. I'm hoping that I'm like, because how can you have all of TMDK except him? Like, he was in it before Zach was.
Like, Chase is a good hand, and he's like he's able to soak up losses. And like, you need those guys. You need your Bushies in there, and that's what he's there to do. And like, that's just kind of what it is. Like with it's all about the top guys anyway, and it's all about like Eddie Kingston's going to have an interesting tournament. I don't think he's going to be alive on the last day of the blocks. I think
really interested to see. I just want him to have fun. He just gets as many dream matches out of that tournament that he wants to have, and I hope he doesn't end up with like 4 points.
I think it's 7 wrestlers per block, so I can see him maybe coming out 4-3, or maybe 5-2. I don't see him going to the semis or the quarterfinals or whatever. I don't see it. But I think he'll have great matches. It's kind of like Kushida this year. Kushida didn't really do great points wise, but his matches were amazing. So
yeah, agreed. Yeah, Kushida I really enjoyed his matches this year. Looking at this, so there's quite a few new people that will be in this the first time. They've got like the new little emoji that they use a lot in the suite. So like, besides Eddie, there's Ren Narita, there's Gabe Kidd, Alex Coughlin, Shane Hayes and Mikey Nichols, Yota Tsuji, Kiyomiya, as we talked about. So like, that's cool to see like the
I love it, like Ren Narita, Shota Umino, some of those. Yota Tsuji looked great today, and I think he's gonna look great in the G1. He could come out close to winning.
I'm sticking with my hot take. I'm going that Yota Tsuji is going to win this after the way they brought him in, and apparently the way he wrestled today. Like, they clearly have very big plans for him. So I'm gonna stick with my bold prediction that he wins the whole thing.
All right. Yota Tsuji, by the way, I don't know if anybody's made this joke yet, but he looked like a giant young buck. Like, he had like the long tights and the frilly boots. I was like, God damn.
Fantastic. That's
He's
great.
a giant young buck. I love
I
it.
haven't seen what he wore today, so I'm excited. I saw him in the suit yesterday from the press conference, and now that he's officially LIJ, like
You're
I
gonna
saw.
think that the minute you watch it, it's gonna be the best
Yes,
moment
I'm
ever.
gonna be
Well,
like,
he has some moves. I'll say that.
Yeah, he does.
yeah, I'm really
Um,
looking forward to seeing how they clearly think they've got, they think highly of him. It seems like I am glad to see that they put Hikuleo in this because we've talked about this a million times. Like if you're the guy who got Jay White out of Japan, like you have to follow up with him. And then they put the strong title on him. Then he lost it to Kenta, and now Kenta won. I saw last night before bed he won the Defy title off of Nick Wayne last night.
Interesting.
So he's Kenta 2 belts right now. So good for him. Brad says, give me Eddie versus Tai Chi. They're gonna have an all Japan style match.
that makes sense. Like, because Eddie worships Kawada and Kawada taught Tai Chi, so
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Somebody said they can't wait for or what was it? It was saying that they can't wait for Toriano to beat wait, was it? Oh, who was it? I was going to say Danielson, but Danielson's not. Oh, that have Toriano beat Eddie Kingston, and then they can share horror stories.
he beat Moxley in the G1
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's right, because he taped him.
He
to
fears
the...
him.
Yep, you're right.
It's but like there's a lot of viable people in it. It's kind of like the best of Super Juniors where you're just like, when that started, I didn't know who was going to win.
Yeah.
I remember in the past, like in the 2018 G1, I was like, okay, Tanahashi's going to win this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, I knew,
Yeah.
It's this year. I don't know. I mean, it's potluck. It could be one of several people, and I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be great.
Me too.
It's
Yeah, it's going to be really good. I'm really looking forward to this tournament this year. I mean, always, but yeah. This is a
plus
good.
There's people are back. The people being back really helps.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the summer. Maybe that makes me sound like such a grouch. I don't like the heat. I don't like. I just don't like all the brightness all the time. I look at Blade Runner and I want to go on holiday there. I like the rain. I lived in Galway City for years. I think it is the rainiest city in Europe. It's actually twinned with Seattle.
They are sister cities, so
Makes
it
sense.
rains. I think it rains in Galway more than it rains in Seattle, though. A little bit.
I believe that.
Mm-hmm.
But the tournaments help. I don't know what it is. I feel like I'm not living up to my full potential during the summer. Whereas in the winter, I'm just like, nobody's doing anything. I'll stay in. I'll do whatever I like.
Grace said, I'm with you, John.
Glad I'm not the only one.
You're not.
But it's the tournaments in the summer definitely they help give structure to that time. I remember a couple of years ago. I'm sorry, I'm going off on one again.
You're fine.
Just gonna sit through it, okay? But the 2019 G1. Whenever the last World Cup was. There was a World Cup. It was final 2018. It was Croatia and France in the final. And I went to a bar that was showing the matches, and I was like so happy. All these people are going, "Oh, you happy about the score? You happy about the score?" I'm like, "No, today was the first day of the G1." Like, Kenta, he's back.
Oh, that's right, because he had just come back.
It was that one. It was the one remember they did one in Texas.
Yeah.
They started in Dallas.
It
was the same year. That was 2019. That was the same year as MSG because they started the G1 in Dallas that year. Yeah. I tried to win tickets to it by buying merch from Rocky. I don't regret it. I don't regret it. It was cute. No, they were pictures with him and his dog. So
perfect.
But yeah, it's I said this in the Discord earlier on. Like, as wrestling fans, we don't appreciate the fact that we get our World Cup every year.
Yep.
That is true. That is a true statement.
And it doesn't matter what you're into. You get if you're a WWE person, you get your WrestleMania and your Royal Rumble every year. if you're a New Japan person, you get your G1. Like, we get it, and we don't. I feel like sometimes we kind of put that aside and don't appreciate it enough. And I just love watching those tournaments.
Me too.
And
Me
my
too.
attention span, it suits it as well, because watching weekly TV is fine, but I love the New Japan thing of watch like one show in March and then watch 10 shows in April. That suits me. You know?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to G1 season, and it's in the middle of all this other stuff, like because it's like because now that we're past Double or Nothing, like it's Forbidden Door and it's G1, and then there's All In and All Out, and like I had completely forgot until like a month ago, like I completely forgot about Grand Slam. I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing. I was like, that's a thing. I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing. Forgot about. And I think Grand Slam is 2 weeks after. Is it 2 weeks after All Out? I think is what I saw. I was like, oh my God, there's so much happening.
It's September. I know that. Like,
yeah. I think it's.
But that could be Labor Day or the weekend after.
Well, because Labor Day weekend is All Out.
All Out.
So then, I think
right
Grand
after.
Slam is like 2 or 3 weeks after that.
Wow.
So there's a lot.
I guess.
Seems like there's going to be a lot of overlap between New Japan and AEW too, because it sounds like at Wembley they're going to
need it.
They're going to have to bring in. I'm sure they're going to bring in Goldberg, but.
Hey, look, I'll be honest with you. You'll see me. I'm sitting across from the hard camera. If Goldberg wrestles at that show, I'll be freaking out, right?
You will.
You know,
well, I had this scrum on the other night while I was watching the Double or Nothing pre-show. Post show that the Boom was doing, and so I was I was watching both, and he was like, well, you know, I've had conversations with Goldberg since he's been out of his contract. He's like, he's a nice guy, I like him, I won't tell you what we talk about. So I mean, it seems like if they're not doing anything, he's absolutely teasing it to at least make people wonder if that's what's gonna happen.
Why not?
So I mean, I don't like. I was like, when I was younger, I was a complete Goldberg mark. I thought the streak was real for a really long time. So I was really into Goldberg, but I don't necessarily need to see him in 2023, but I'm sure it feels like it's probably going to happen, because it sounds like a lot of these guys want to go out on their own terms, which I completely understand. So if he does, I'm sure AEW will come up with something acceptable. So
I think though, like, a big stadium show kind of needs, like, I feel like you need a little bit of everything. You need a hardcore match, you need a bit of nostalgia, you know?
Yeah.
Like, New Japan does that every year. They'll have like a dad
Well,
match.
we got the Great Muda at MSG, so let's be real.
Don't remind me.
I had to remind you because
my soul nearly left my body.
I know. I thought we were going to lose you.
But,
I'm glad you're here speaking with us today.
Oh man, that was the greatest one but it was so much fun because it was such a awesome moment.
That's the hardest I've ever marked out.
And I got to witness it. So
oh yeah, I'm sure you did. I'm sure.
So it's great to be there for that. I mean, it's a lot of fun when you're like able to be like with your friends when they have like.
Oh yeah, that was us. I mean, not clearly on the same level, but like when me and my sister and our friend, when we found out we get to see Speedball next month, like I have not marked out that hard in a very long time. And I was like, and then like I said, and I was telling Mel about this, like the people were behind us and they were like, I don't know what that means. And I was like, you're gonna learn. Like, just wait. And what's interesting is, and I meant to tell you this now because I know you're gonna watch the All Together show. I saw that Sean Legacy got announced for that, and Sean Legacy is a guy I've been watching here locally for the last probably 3 or 4 years, and he was trained by Ethan Case, who is involved with Title Belt Pro, and so we're getting Sean Legacy versus Mike Bailey, and then Sean Legacy gets announced for that show, and he's tagging against Zack Sabre Jr., which is insane. So I'm very excited for him. So that's very cool.
Yeah, he's been on the Noah undercards for the last while.
Yeah, he won some like competition or something over here, and I've heard that he's been doing really well. And I saw that Mikey Ruckus did his theme song, so that's really cool. It's like, good for him. Gray said, marked out, little kid John.
The thing is, all right, I want to put this out into the ether, okay? I want to put this thought into the world. Mel, do you remember the guy who was sat in front of you at MSG, who every time Jay White did,
well scouted, Jay?
Yeah. he's the guy you need to have on this show, right?
Yes.
I don't know his name. I
want
remember,
him to be back so bad. He was so hilarious. That's your champion. That's your champion.
I just remember
You
like,
cheer
'cause
for him. He was great.
I remember when Okada came out, I was just like, it's like fucking kill him, Okada, and the guy was like, "Yo, calm down."
He was like, "Calm down. That's your champion." We were having such a good time, John. Honestly, to this day, Bob and I really we'll have a moment and something will happen, and we'll both go, "Well scouted, Jay."
He was great.
He was fantastic.
That's
I
amazing.
don't know if you can find him. I don't even know what his name.
I
remember
don't
what
know.
he looked like.
I'm only hoping that no. I was thinking about him recently again because we were going. I booked my Forbidden Door stuff all together. We're all set to go and ready to cross the border, and
maybe he's gonna cross the border and come.
I hope so. I really hope that this
especially if they put Jay on this card.
Maybe maybe fate will bring us back together.
Same with those guys. Like I don't think. Did you meet them, Mel? Like the two there's a couple of random people from New Orleans that me and Nick just had a chat with in Chicago, and then we were sitting in the same section as them. And,
I don't think so because we sat in different places.
So if they're out there, random guys from New Orleans.
All day. Thank you, random fans. Please show up to the shows and sit in our section.
Maybe we'll run into each other again.
Brad said that was me finding out Impact is running Victory Road 30 minutes from where I live. I finally get to see my longtime friend Chris Bay perform live. I marked out.
Nice.
I saw your tweets about it. I'm excited for you. I love Chris Bay. We started following each other on Twitter like shortly before he got signed. He tweeted some video of him. Can't remember, he's doing some sort of moves. It was this pin tweet forever, and I followed him and he followed me back after that. And so I never saw his matches, but I would see his clips pop up, and I was like, oh man, that guy seems like he's really cool. And then he showed up on Impact, and I was like, holy crap. So that's exciting. And marking out is fun.
Yes,
very talented.
It's always a great moment when you can just get really excited by something. So that is really cool.
All righty.
I guess we should make our announcement about the next episode.
Oh yeah, our 69th episode is coming up.
So
next.
It is our nice episode, and I have a family obligation next Sunday during or right before our normal showtime. So Mel and I were talking about it, and I was like, okay, well, why don't we just move it to the day before? We can figure it out. And then Mel, in all her wisdom, realized that this Friday is 6/9. It is June the 9th. This will be episode 69. So we have decided that our nice episode will be this Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. I know that might not work that great for Daza.
Sorry,
but
you can watch back. The replay is available immediately.
Yes, and so I have to. That's another positive thing about working from home. I finish my shoot job at 6, and I will be on our nice episode at 7:00. So, but yeah, so we will, make sure to keep posting that this week so you guys don't forget. We will not be here at our normal time next week. You can watch the replay of our show next Sunday at our normal time, but we will be live this Friday at 7 p.m. and
it won't be like Rampage. It's a one-time deal. We won't move it all around.
We're gonna be, and that was part of the reason we did it at 7, is we want to be done before Rampage is on. But I think there's playoffs still, right? So I don't know if that will affect anything, but we may be on at the same time. Who knows? Yeah. We'll find out.
It'll still be nicer,
dude. It will be nicer,
dude.
Yeah, so we'll have a nice time. Come hang out with us live at 7 p.m. on Friday. And we'll keep, like I said, we'll keep posting. We'll post reminders on Twitter and on Instagram where you can follow us at Powerbombshells.
There it is.
Yes. All and John, do you want to tell them where they can find you?
Yeah, I figured as I came on here, I rarely talk about what I do. So I'm on Instagram. I'm John Capcom. That's my thing. Period meaning full stop. If you want to follow me, I post stuff on there. If you go to oneradpodcast.com as well, I'm on a podcast on there covering Saturday morning cartoons. Awesome. Which is funny because, as we say on the show, I don't like cartoons. I think they're for babies.
And that
But,
is that's on our One Rad friends over at the One Rad place there, John. Kyle, who designed our logo, rolled that out. So Saturday Morning
Yeah.
Crunch is one of my favorite podcasts
We'll
on the
post.
network.
We can post some links to that
We will.
on our social media so that you guys can find it.
But it's a very fun show. It's a lot more. It's very vulgar and fun and very immature, which fits the theme of watching these.
But
old
you can
cartoons.
listen to all the people that you've heard us talk about. They're all of our podcast friends.
But I think well, everything Kyle does over there is pretty good as well, and it's a fun community. And yeah, that's about it. Basically, I can't think of anything else. I said I'm really bad. This is like the first time I've talked about work I've done, like publicly. Like even like when we did all the stuff with Carl, like people were in my life were giving out to me. She was like, "Why aren't you posting about this?" I'm like, "Who cares?" Like, I'm like,
well, we are very honored that you decided to share your work with us and to share it with our viewers because we loved it. And if you're an audio listener, please go check out the replay of this so that you can take a look at John's incredible art because he had some really cool stuff, and I think that you guys would dig it.
And it's cool to be on here as well, just because I've lived in the same internet house as Mel for years.
Seriously, that is the perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
We're internet house roommates.
And Nikki wanted to throw out for Friday. This is 69 me Don.
Yes, there may be audio. There may be audio clips. Mel
I'll be in here, obviously under the name Don Chimpson, sometimes in the chat.
Yes.
Singing Jeff Jarrett's praises. Keeping all the slanders.
If you see anybody praising Jeff Jarrett in the comments, now you know who it is.
You can almost guarantee it's him.
Look, I mean, what can I say, right? He's just, ain't he great? You know?
Well, I think that's the perfect place to end. All right. Everybody, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you guys
Friday.
7 o'clock, 7 p.m. Eastern, Friday, 69, dude.